shot from Goldsworthy.
What a comeback that is! Got him!
And taken. They are very much in this, the Foxes. They are fighting hard.
Shot from Goldsworthy.
What a comeback that is! Got him!
And taken. They are very much in this, the Foxes. They are fighting hard.
Shot from Goldsworthy.
What a comeback that is! Got him!
And taken. They are very much in this, the Foxes. They are fighting hard.
Shot from Goldsworthy.
What a comeback that is! Got him!
And taken. They are very much in this, the Foxes. They are fighting hard.
Rishi Patel needs 2 more sixes to equal the record for most sixes for Leicestershire in the T20.
In a season?
I think it seems to suggest overall. It's just a random stat that's come up. Ever.
How many did he hit?
49.
Yeah, it's perfectly possible.
Yeah. Aaron Lilly 51, Josh Cobb 49.
Yeah, fair enough. Good start, that.
Thank you, mate. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for being with us on BBC Radio Leicester Sport. As Owen says, live from the Uptonsteel County Ground, it is a gorgeous evening in Ayleston. Blue skies above, just a few clouds as the Northamptonshire openers making their way out. Leicestershire won the toss, elected to have a bowl. Richard Ray's with me. Richard, your thoughts on that decision?
They've gone back to what has worked best for them. They've been very good at home. They've defended and they've chased totals down well. Little change tonight with the new young left-arm spinner coming in for the more experienced Liam Travascus, Josh Thomas, that is. But both these sides in desperate need of a win, so it could be quite a nervy game as well as an exciting one.
The form is really interesting when you look at it. Leicestershire's wins and losses have almost come in pairs pretty much. They've lost their last 2, won their last 2 before that, lost 2 before that, won 2 before that. Whereas Northamptonshire had that incredible start, won their first 6 of the competition, including against Leicestershire in the reverse fixture, but have lost now their last 4, so the Foxes will be hoping they can take advantage maybe of some slightly subpar form. The Northamptonshire openers, interesting as well, the 2 openers from the last time they played, Ricardo Vasconcelos and Matthew Britska, neither of which in the side tonight. Britska with South Africa, Vasconcelos a replaced player tonight, so they start with Tim Robinson, the Kiwi, and also David Willey, their captain, is going to start. It's going to be Logan Van Beek who is going to begin the bowling from the pavilion end for the Foxes, as we just await the umpires to agree all is ready to go. Logan Van Beek, blonde hair, just sweeping it back out of his face as he prepares to run up, right arm over for the first ball of this T20 Blast game here on BBC Radio Leicester Sport, as Van Beek runs in past the umpire now, and it is just defended by the batsman. It'll be a dot ball to start from Tim Robinson.
Had a good look at the pitch beforehand. It's a new pitch. It looks pretty good out there. Banged that one in short. Didn't climb up particularly quickly, but there was a decent amount of bounce on Robinson. 23-year-old New Zealand one-day international, so sort of in a way an all-international opening partnership for the Steelbacks.
As Van Beek comes in once again past the umpire now, right arm again, and it is up in the air, and this should be caught here by the man at mid-off, Louis Kimber, and it is! And Leicestershire have their first wicket of the evening, with Robinson going for a duck on just the second ball of the innings. What a start for the Foxes. The Steelbacks are 0 for 1.
Couldn't be better. A little bit surprised Vasconcelos was left out, but obviously Robinson coming in for Breitske, essentially, who's called up by South Africa, and they would have been hoping for better than that. Remember how badly Leicestershire started at Wantage Road earlier this season. Well, it's been nice to see the Steelbacks suffer in the same way.
Well, it's interesting. Foxes were 0 for 1 in that game. They were also, Richard, 2 for 2, 5 for 3, 16 for 4, 18 for 5, 27 for 6, and 39 for 7 in that game. The Foxes would be delighted if Northamptonshire followed a similar trend in terms of the wickets. Just a little conversation between Kimber and Van Beek. Van Beek, by the way, that is 18th wicket now of the T20 Blast, by far Leicestershire's top wicket taker in the competition so far. Ravi Bopara, the man in at number 3 to face his first ball. Van Beek looking for wickets in back-to-back balls. Just 2 bowled so far. 0 for 1 are the Steelbacks as Van Beek comes in now. Right arm over towards Bopara, who just cuts it slightly behind square, and it is collected by the Leicestershire fielder, and just the single taken. 1 for 1.
Yeah, classic Bopara, just nurdle it behind square. Nice diving stop away to his left by Sol Budinger, but comfortable single taken by this vastly experienced pair, David Willey and Ravi Bopara. Between them well over 100 England caps. Quite a lot of years as well, though.
Yeah, vastly experienced. You say Willey taken the most runs this season for Northamptonshire, using his experience, 255 so far, as Van Beek comes into the left arm batsman Willey, who pulls it nicely to a man on the boundary, but it's dropped, and in fact dropped over the boundary for a 6.
Oh, that was a chance, I'm afraid. Sam Wood running down the boundary from sort of just backward off square, got there, 2 hands above his head to his right. He sort of had to dive, but he got 2 good hands to it, and Wood is a very good catcher. I actually backed him to take that, and it spilled, and it didn't just spill, it went right over the rope as well, so that could be a huge moment.
Yeah, when you thought it could be another wicket, they take the 6 as Van Beek comes in for the 5th ball of the over to Willey once again. This one again just clipped square of the wicket, and the single taken
off the pad. Yeah,
how different. Well, I mean 8 for 1 you would take, but imagine if they'd got that second. I mean, it would have been a big wicket as well to take David Willey for a duck, having already dismissed his opening partner Tim Robinson for nothing as well, as Van Beek comes in for the final ball of the over. This one to Ravi Bopara, who, that one's down the leg side. It's going to be a wide signalled by the umpire. He took a swing at it but missed it, or just got a little touch, but as we say, down the leg side, so signal for a wide. Van Beek therefore will have to have another go at that one. 9 for 1 as he collects the ball from his captain Louis Kimber and runs up now. Van Beek past the umpire to Bopara, who again just misses this one. It just flies past him into the hands of Ben Cox, the Leicestershire wicket-keeper. In the first over, I mean, plenty to discuss from the opening 6 balls, Richard. The Steelbacks 9 for 1.
Yeah, could so easily have been 3 for 2. Not to be. Have to put that moment of disappointment behind them. Leicestershire. Josh Hull is going to open the bowling for the Foxes from the Bennett end, coming down the slope. Newly shorn Josh Hull. He's got quite a relatively normal haircut. Young Josh probably didn't bowl as well as he would have liked at Nottingham a few days ago. Foxes lost that one in the last over. A huge defeat that sort of concertinaed the table, as did the game between Lancashire and the Bears yesterday. Their win, the Bears' win against Lancashire, sort of blew the North group open to a certain extent. Hull then over the wicket to the left-handed Willey, goes through low outside off stump. Willey slashes away out there, doesn't get anything on it, goes underneath his bat, didn't really get up And he wanders down, has a word with Ravi Bopara. They would have hoped for a little bit more bounce than that straight away. It skidded through. Sometimes there's slightly differing bounce from the Bennett end as opposed to the Pavilion end. The Pavilion end being slightly up the slope here at the Uptonsteel County Ground. A very good crowd in. You can see the Uptonsteel stand pretty much close to full alongside the meet there. Hull is in past umpire Ashraf and bowls. Willie drives like a pistol shot square through the offside. Beautiful shot by the former England international. Still got a lot of class. David Willey was out there to hit away and he stepped forward and absolutely cracked it away. There was a great puff of dust as the ball plunged into one of the used pitches on the offside, but it was out there to hit without the sweeper. He was always going to pick up 4, so Willie into double figures already. Remember, dropped on 0. He's on to 10 off 4, 13 for 1. Hull turns, little stutter at the start of his run, then long strides, comes in and bowls to Willie short of a length, just outside off stump. Willie up on his back foot, just almost lets ball hit back, dabs it down, guides it down wide of what would have been a gully had there been a gully. It trickles on down towards wide third man where Sam Wood is fielding, and Willie, having picked up his 4 off the previous delivery, happy to take 1 off that. Bopara takes guard and is the recipient some advice from David Willey. Can't imagine that Willie's got anything too much to tell Bopara that he won't know already. Rishi Patel has gone from slip to sort of short, almost leg slip. He is on the edge of the circle, but with Hull bowling quite quickly, Hull bowls onto the hip of Bopara, just turns it around the corner, thick inside part of the bat, runs it around to just backward of square. Patel runs across from almost that leg slip position. You could say it's short fine leg as well. Fields and Bopara takes 1. He will not be flustered, Ravi Bopara. He's been there, done that, seen it all many times before. Field changes for the left-hander. 15 for 1 off 10 legitimate deliveries. The Steelbacks. Hull down the slope. Bowls outside off stump. Driving is Willie, thick outside edge along the ground all the way down towards wide third man Sam Wood. Forms the long barrier. Fields and throws. Willie takes 1. Still got that sort of left-hander's classy off drive. David Willey didn't quite connect with that one as he would have liked, but got plenty of bat on it. Picks up 1, moves on to 12. Bar away to our left up here on the pavilion, doing good business alongside the manual scoreboard, as you would expect. A few clouds around now, just taking some of the edge off the heat. Thank goodness. As in, goes in Hull and bowls. Fullis swings in a little bit, and Bopara a little uncertain, sort of stroking defensive push at the ball. Comes off thick inside edge and pad and rolls out into the offside. So Hull, after conceding that 4 early in the over to Willie, did pull it back to a certain extent. 16 for 1 after 2 overs. No chances created in it though, and well, the game's still to take shape to a certain extent.
It's one of those, isn't it, with Willie being dropped on 0 every single run and certainly every single boundary. You're almost kicking yourself from a Leicestershire perspective, thinking what could have been, as Van Beek has the ball to continue from the pavilion end, and it will be David Willey that he'll be bowling to, the left-handed batsman. Van Beek comes in, right arm over towards Willey, and he finds the boundary down towards the man at sort of between deep extra cover and long off. And a nice stroke from David Willey to get his 3rd boundary of the game, his 2nd for that first 6. If you missed it, was an opportunity to be caught on the boundary. It was dropped, and in fact dropped over the boundary. They were his first 6 runs as Van Beek comes in for the 2nd of the over, past the umpire towards Willey. This one onto the leg side, collected by the fielder there, and just the single taken. 21 for 1.
Leg by, just came off the pad. He's actually the top run getter for the Steelbacks so far this season, David Willey, which surprised me slightly because he's only averaging 25, but obviously he's played 10 innings. Not much in it between him and Bopara.
Van Beek in once again to Bopara this time, and that one is down into the fine area and collected by the fielder just in front of the boundary. Again, a single take. And it's interesting you mentioned there the scores of David Willey. He's their top run scorer, but his high score of 54, and he hasn't hit a half century, and that was in the opening game for Northants. But steady scores, as you mentioned, sort of been in and playing in each innings as Van Beek comes in once again. Fourth of the over to David Willey. This one just clipped onto the offside, collected by Rayan Ahmed, and immediately thrown into Cox, the wicket keeper. No run taken on this occasion. 22 for 1. The Steelbacks are on. A couple of balls left of this over from Logan Van Beek as he just collects the ball from Sham Masood down there. A little bit of advice from him.
Yeah, nice slower ball, that one from Van Beek, just held it back.
In he comes once again, Van Beek over the wicket. This one, again, I think hitting the pad, and once again a dot ball for the Foxes. One more left of the third over to go. 22 for 1. Willey on 16 from 10 balls, but in reality he's actually got those 16 from just 3 balls. No, he's not. My maths is wrong. 14 from those 3 balls. I've been learning maths from you, Richard. That's the problem as Van Beek comes in once again. This one is pulled to the leg side, and it is a big one over the boundary. No attempt of a catch this time from Sam Wood, and that is a 6, and a big 6 from David Willey to finish off the over. So that'll be 28 for 1 at the end of the third over. Van Beek maybe disappointed to end what would have been a decent over with that boundary.
Yeah, it was almost, given what had happened in that first over, it was almost worth the attempt, and he did hit it in the air, and it only just dropped over the ropes at deep mid-wicket, but it was deep mid-wicket, whereas the previous one was between mid-wicket and square leg, which meant that Wood could get to it, wasn't able to hang on. With that one, he wasn't able to get there, so it was a slightly safer shot. He got more of it, David Willey. And as a consequence, 12 from the Van Beek over. Well, Sam Wood, can he redeem himself, if that's the right word, by picking up an early wicket? He's taking over from Josh Hull at the Bennett end. In he comes and bowls right arm over to Bopara, who just steers it past the diving Budinger at backward point to the boundary. Again, nothing violent at all about the shot from Ravi Bopara. Used the pace on the ball, just made sure he got it wide of the excellent Sol Budinger, probably the best fielder on the Leicestershire side, who's backward of square, just behind point at backward point, and no chance for the sweeper on the offside to get around to the ball. Nicely placed by Bopara, calmly placed. Wood is in to him again, slightly slower ball, might have just come back into him a bit. He's almost taking his bottom hand off the bat as he keeps that one out on the back foot, pushes it out into the offside, stands at short leg, looking very calm. 40 now, Ravi Bopara. Probably been scratching his head, as wondering what sort of happened, to what went wrong really. They were going to lose the game in the end, but having won their first 6, but then to lose 4 in a row, it just shows how this format of the game, it can work for you, can work against. In goes Wood, bowls, driven but not really timed by Bopara. That said, he's got it past the diving Rishi Patel with his bright orange boots at extra cover. Covering behind him at mid-off is Kimber, so it is just the single to Bopara. He moves on to 8, a runner ball 8, walks down to touch his gloves with Willey, who's been the aggressor of the two. He's on 22 off 11, and that short boundary on the leg side to the left-hander might come into play now. If he put Van Beek twice over the longer boundary, the leg side from the pavilion end, that he'll be eyeing up mid-wicket and that Uptonsteel stand. Wood will not want to drop short on that side, goes in bowls outside off stump, very deliberately outside off stump, steered away off the back foot by Willie. Yes, he calls as Thomas on the offside runs across, picks up and field. Young Josh Thomas, we haven't mentioned him yet other than naming him in the lineup, has been brought in on loan by the Foxes from Somerset for the last 4 games of the T20 because the normal left arm spinner Liam Travaskis has hurt a finger and is unable to take part in the rest of the tournament. Well, the knockout, the group stages Wood bowls. Willie does try to hit him over the Uptonsteel family stand, doesn't get anything on it, might have been an inside edge onto the pad, bounces off the pad out into the offside. Rehan Ahmed picks up. It's a sort of tense feeling in the ground. It's gone a little bit sort of quiet and nervous. I suspect the Foxes fans, basking in the sunshine, know the importance of the game. Then they're slightly concerned about the start Willie has made. You kind of expect to go for 50 or 60. It's how many wickets you can take. And at the moment, just the one. Could have been 2. Kimber is just adjusting his field slightly as Wood is in 2. Willie does bang it in short. Willie does try to pull it away into the offside again. It's on him a little bit more quickly than he expects. Thumps in 2. Well, he's taking off his gloves and he's going to inspect his tummy or abdominal protector, I suspect. Bounced off the body out into the offside, and yes, he has been, as they say, slightly winded by that one. A leg bye is taken, and at the end of the 4th over, a decent over that from Sam Wood. Yes, 8 runs from it, but in the power play that isn't too bad, and Willie didn't get hold of him, got struck a couple of blows. He's on 25 now, 36 for 1 off for the Steelbacks.
Yeah, Josh Hull taking over from the pavilion end for what is the 5th over. A couple more left in the power play for the Steelbacks. A little conversation between Hull, Louis Kimber and Logan Van Beek. Makes me laugh. I go down and chat to Louis Kimber after the toss each week, and I think he's a big old guy, Louis Kimber, and I see him standing next to Josh Hull, and he looks like me. Kimber standing next to Hull looks like me standing next to Kimber. Me standing next to Hull looks slightly freakish with me being so much shorter, but he's a big old lad. Josh Hull back from injury in for the last couple of games. We'll be hoping to get back in the wickets. You can hear him on the Talking Foxes podcast this week, available on BBC Sounds as he comes in around the wicket, over the wicket, left armour, and Willie unable to get a proper connection on that one, and no run. Dot ball for the first one of the over for the left-handed Josh Hull.
Yeah, that extra little bit of nip compared to Van Beek. Van Beek's sharp, but Hull is that little bit sharp, and that was on Willie just a little bit more quickly, and it hit the top part of the bat. He's swinging at the moment and not connecting.
Comes in once again, Josh Hull with his long old run up past the umpire now in towards Willie, and that one's past him once again, but down the leg side. That'll be a wide, and Josh Hull will have to go for that one again. Have you seen in the 2 games and an over, are we seeing him gradually building back up speed, back to strength, do you think, Josh Hull?
I think that the strength is there, and the speed occasionally. The rhythm isn't yet, really. He's still finding his way back to a certain extent, still sort of learning to trust his body again, so to speak.
In he comes once again over the wicket. This one is pulled onto the leg side, stopped really well by the fielder out there on the boundary, and
Sam Wood,
the man, getting it straight back in. I was just pausing to see whether it was the 2 that they'd taken. It was. So 2 added onto the Northampton score, 39 for 1. David Willey moves up to 27 off 16.
From Josh Hull's development point of view, looking forward to seeing him bowling with the sort of red ball in Championship cricket again and getting a few overs under his belt.
And he comes once again to Willie, and again that one has gone straight past, and a leg bye for 4.
Flicked the thigh pad a little bit, so it went wide of Cox. No chance for Cox. Went down to fine leg. Just spraying it about a little bit at the moment. Josh. It's not easy to switch ends for the young man and hit his lines and lengths, or put it exactly where he wants it to, not necessarily like lengths, but you certainly don't want to be bowling down there in the power play.
So, the fourth ball of this fifth over, as Josh Hall comes in once again to Willie, who this time it's gone up in the air and it's been caught. Brilliant diving catch from the fielder, and in fact it's the young Josh Thomas, the new boy. No number on his back yet. He was only announced this morning, and he has started his Leicestershire lone career, taking a catch to give Josh Hull his first wicket of the evening. David Willey is the man dismissed for 27. The Steelbacks 43 for 2.
Yeah, just again on him that little bit more quickly than he expected, probably a little bit more bounce than he expected. Hit the top part of the bat and lobbed out towards short mid-wicket. Thomas was alert, and he had to be. He had to take a good few running steps forward and then dive to take the catch. He always should have taken the catch, but that's a good blow struck by Hull, and Thomas and the Foxes in the power play.
That is, I mentioned before, when a player has been dropped early, particularly somebody of Willie's quality, and particularly when they're dropped, when they would have been out for a duck, every single run, and particularly the boundaries, seem to sting that little bit more. So the Foxes will be very happy that David Willey is dismissed, the Steelbacks' top run taker in the T20 Blast. So far this season he's replaced by Safe Zabe, who you may remember was out for a golden duck in the reverse fixture.
He has been playing well of late though, and I think a few Northamptonshire fans will be not pleased to see him in early because of the fall of wickets, but pleased to see him get a longer opportunity to bat. He's been coming in a little bit lower down in the order and hasn't really been given the opportunities his form demands almost, really, when he's going to have one now.
Here's the left-hander, just waiting for Josh Hull as he rearranges a couple of fielders. He starts his run up now. Does the young Leicestershire bowler pass the umpire over the wicket into Zabe, who just knocks this one behind square on the offside, takes the single and moves the Steelbacks up to 44 for 2. I think one of those, Richard, just want a shot to ease yourself in, maybe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, the power play is important, but you don't want to be losing 3 wickets or more in it. So, you know, they would take sort of 55-ish for 2. I'm sure Northamptonshire.
Final ball of the over. Josh Hull into Ravi Papara, just drives this one to the man at mid-on, who quickly chucks it to Ben Cox, the wicketkeeper, and just a single taken from the Steelbacks. So they finish the fifth over on 45 for 2, 9 taken from the over, but more importantly, Richard, that wicket of David Willey.
Yeah. Hull leaving the field, which will make one or two Leicester supporters slightly nervous. Roman Walker comes on to replace him. Let us hope it's just a sort of, I don't know, new boots or something like that. It's not due to injury. Keep an eye on that one. As I say, Walker out there to replace him. So Papara will be on strike. Sam Wood is going to bowl his second over in the power play, having conceded just 8 from his first. Runs in and bowls. Papara drives consummately over wide-ish extra cover. Wasn't afraid to hit through the line of the ball. Was nowhere near the pitch of it, but it was out there. Wasn't quite in the slot, but with the field up, he didn't mind going aerial. And again, there was nothing particularly violent about the swing. It was just a smooth, fairly controlled hit through the offside. Not afraid to go aerial, and it bounced out to the wide-ish extra cover stroke wide long off boundary. For 4, Papara 13 off 10, 49 for 2. Wood, not a good start to the over from his point of view. In he goes, bowls straighter this time. Papara is forward, just pushing it out into the offside. Rishi Patel is quickly onto it, makes as though to side throw the ball at the stumps, but safe save back in his ground.
Just a reminder, if you're listening on FM, we will be switching and Upload and BBC Introducing shortly. If you want to keep listening to us, then DAB or BBC Sounds is where you need to be after 7 o'clock.
In goes Wood and bowls slightly short, pulled by Papari. Clothed it a little bit and quite come on to him. Thomas runs in from the deep square boundary and fields, and he takes one. Will also be available, I think, on Sports Extra 3 from 7.
I should have said
so
that.
You should.
We're available right now, actually, so people listening on BBC 5 Live Sports Extra 3, we haven't forgotten about you.
You're most welcome to join us here at the sun-drenched Uptonsteel County Ground. Well, every cricket ground in the country is probably sun-drenched at the moment, when Northamptonshire have reached 50 for 2 after 5.3 overs. Sam Wood turns, runs down the slope and bowls a full toss that is bunted by save out towards straight-ish mid-off. Shan Masood runs round to his left field and save settles for the single. It was a low full toss. Took a while to get to him. He timed it quite nicely, but that is just his second ball, so understandable perhaps that he didn't follow through fully. 51 for 2. Ravi Papara back on strike. 14 off 12 for Papara. 2 balls with power play to go. Sam Wood is in, bowls to Papara, who swings thick inside edge down onto his pads. It bounces out into the offside. Patel is quickly on it. Saves Zabe. Sends Papara back into his ground. Rightly so. I don't think they would have crossed had they tried to complete a single there. The buzz around the Uptonsteel. It's a little bit louder now. Leicestershire have picked up those 2 wickets in the power play. Important wickets too. Tim Robinson and David Willie. Robinson second ball. Willie made 27. Wood is in, a little bit short outside off stump. Chopped away by Bapara to the offside boundary, just behind square for 4. Well, that was out there to be hit, and Bapara took full advantage. So, first ball and last ball to the boundary, and I suggested, Jack, that Northamptonshire in the circumstances would be okay with 55 for 2, and I think they will be. That's exactly what they've got after 6.
10 from the over. Bapara, of course, Northamptonshire were always in a commanding position at Wantage Road, but it was Bapara's 46 not out that was pretty crucial in that game. He's one of those players I always think when Leicestershire are facing him that you always feel much safer once he's finished his job, as Josh Thomas is going to take over from the pavilion end for his first bowling action as a Leicestershire player. We will, if you're listening on FM, be handing to Dean Jackson and Upload in the next 30 seconds or so. Josh Thomas, though, just getting ready to bowl his first ball, left arm over, and that is immediately smashed straight back to the young lad. He catches it, looked to have stinged the fingers a little bit. Josh Thomas, who is the new loan signing in for Liam Travaskis. He's injured and comes in once again, the spinner, and this one just clipped nicely onto the offside by Zabe, and they take the single. As I mentioned before, if you're listening on 104.9 FM, we will hand to the news and Dean Jackson and Upload. If you want to continue listening to us, then you need to do so on DAB or BBC Sounds. If you are still with us, you've made a very good choice. Thank you for being with us. BBC Radio Leicester Sport, BBC 5 Live Sports Extra 3 as well. Live T20 blast action. The Leicestershire Foxes against Northamptonshire Steelbacks. Josh Thomas with his third ball of the over around the wicket, this time to the right-handed Bapara. He just again clips that one onto the leg side. It's collected by Rayan Ahmed sort of down in cow corner, and just the single taken. 57 for 2 are the Steelbacks. And Thomas coming in once again, this time over the wicket to the left-handed Zaid. This one cut but slightly mistimed. It sort of trickles away to the fielder out around mid-wicket, and again just collected, and a casual single taken by the Steelbacks.
I should say we're also on the stream if you're watching. Provided by Fox's TV.
As Thomas comes in once again around the wicket, left arm spinner. This one is cut nicely square to the man out on the boundary, who collects it, never really endangering the boundary, you wouldn't have to say, in the single taken once again. 59 for 2. Bopara moves on to 20 from his 16 balls. Zabe just taking it a little bit slower, 4 from 5 for him as he gets used to things out there. Thomas in for the last one of the over, and it's another dot ball for the young man, and a decent over for him, his first in Leicestershire colours, and he's gone for just the 4 runs. Northamptonshire 59 for 2.
Looks a nice action. 20-year-old, former England under-19 player. He's just played one-day cup matches for Somerset in his career in the first team to date, and I think Somerset see these 4 games as an opportunity for him to get some pressure cricket under his belt before Somerset's one-day cup campaign gets underway in a few weeks' time. The skipper, Louis Kimber, has brought himself on from the Bennett end. He bowls to Ravi Bopara, a very slow ball that is just tickled by Bopara around the corner, and that'll be 4. It won't be chased down by Hull, who is back on the field. It is a lightning fast outfield, as you'd expect, baked very hard, unlike Lords, which look pretty lush today. They've obviously been watering their outfield at Lords. Well, not here at the Uptonsteel, as in goes Kimber and bowls. Bopara is forward, just pushing the ball back up the pitch towards Louis Kimber. On the onside, Kimber bounds out to his right. His boundary runners are on the 3 out on the leg side. Hull is at short fine, and that little nibble around the corner, that clever little nibble from Bopara, just went inside Hull to the boundary. Kimber is in, bowls onto the legs of Bopara, who just turns it into vacant square leg area. In from deep square comes Sam Wood to field, throws on the bounce to Cox, and 1 is taken. Bopara onto 25. Both Cox and Kimber point to the leg side. Josh Thomas trots across, because that is now the offside for the left-handed safe Zabe, so he goes in at cover on the edge of the circle. Round the wicket goes Kimber, bowls to Zabe, who nurdles it down fine. Hull dives, goes down rather in stages to his right, might just have skinned his elbow there. Big puff of dust as his elbows made contact with the ground, with that hard ground, away to his right. But he did make the stop. Single was taken. Zabe on to 5. Kimber back over the wicket to Bopara, who just wristily turns it out towards mid-wicket. Safe Zabe takes the first one quickly, just in case, but mid-wicket is in equally quickly. Roman Walker. Or is that Walker, or is that... It's Van Beek running in from deep mid-wicket to field and keeps them to 1. 66 for 2. Kimber back round the wicket, bowls, saves Zabe, sweeps and sweeps hard out to the deep square boundary for 4. Looked like with 2 men out there, one of them would get there, but as I say, it is quite a short boundary, and fielders couldn't get there. It bisected them nicely, so a 4 off the first ball and 4 off the last. A productive over for the Steelbacks, 11 from it in the end, and they'll be pretty happy with that out of the power play. 70 for 2 after 8.
First boundary for Zabe in this innings. Bopara will be the man to face up next.
Beginning to look like a sort of 180 sort of pitch. 180 would be a tough score to chase down, I think, because it isn't coming on quite as they would have hoped. Just might need a little bit of exposure to the sun.
It's going to be another change of bowling for the Foxes. Tom Scriven just warming up down in front of us. He's going to be coming on from the pavilion end. A little bit of bowling and catching action between him and Logan Van Beek. Scriven getting ready to bowl his first ball of the evening, number 88 on his back, and he just takes a little pause. Something, in fact it's the batsman Ravi Bopara who just feels something in his glove, just taking it off, giving it a shake and making sure he's as comfortable as possible, waiting to face Tom Scriven, taking a little bit of time to get that glove back on, but he's ready now, and in comes Scriven, right arm over past the umpire into Bopara, who can't get any contact on this one, and it is collected by the wicket-keeper Ben Cox for a dot ball.
That came through nicely. Nicely taken by Cox as well. Scriven's not slow. You know, he's sort of pretty close to 80, I would think, when he gets it right.
Cox right up behind the wickets though as Scriven comes in once again. This time it's cut by Bopara, again collected by the man on the offside boundary, and just the single taken up to 71 for 2. And a switch around of the fielders to prepare for the left-handed Saif Zaib. As I mentioned before, he was out for a golden duck in the reverse fixture.
Came in having scored 179 runs though at 25 and a halves, strike rate of 143.
As Scriven comes in once again, still over the wicket, and it's back towards the man on the boundary, and once again it was pulled back towards the man in sort of the fine area of the beat of the Leicestershire fielding. It was an attempted catch on the boundary, but once again for the second time this innings, an attempted catch by the Leicestershire man is dropped over the boundary for the maximum for Northamptonshire. So that moves Zaib up to 15 and the Steelbacks onto 77 for 2 as Scriven comes in once again. This time it's cut again into the fine area just behind square, and again for another boundary for the Steelbacks, this time a 4. It was a nice little shot actually, as I say, just behind square, and found the gap in the Leicestershire field and always looked destined for the ropes. And that's another boundary, and Northamptonshire move themselves up to 81 for 2, Richard.
One drop was expensive, cost 27. That could prove to be as well. It wasn't easy.
And comes Scriven once again, and this time Zaib can't get any contact on it, collected by Cox, and it'll be a much needed dot ball for the Foxes. Scriven with one more to go.
But Hull is a tall man, 2 hands above his head at fine leg, and he was pretty much standing on the boundary rope. He needed to sort of stand strong and not let it sort of fall backwards, but unfortunately just burst through his hands.
Scriven then, final ball of the over to Saif Zaib, who again cuts this one square, and there's a fielder there, and it'll be another dot ball. So in the end, 11 off the over. How will Tom Scriven be feeling about that one, do you think, Richard?
Yeah, disappointed, but he'd also be slightly disappointed with himself. It was a couple of slightly wide deliveries that Saif Zaib put away nicely, but through particularly that little dab through the offside, a little late cut, nicely timed. He's on to 19 now, was on 9 when he was dropped. It can happen in T20, and he'll be hoping for better luck in his next over when that comes. Kimber is in from the Bennett end, bowls. Bopara gives him the charge and drives very pleasantly out towards long off. There is a long off, forms a long barrier. Rehan Ahmed, first time he's been in the game, not quite fit enough to bowl yet. They are sort of hopeful he might be able to bowl when the Foxes go to New Road on Sunday. Another vital clash against the Worcestershire Rapids. Round the wicket goes Kimber and bowls. Saif Zaib is down the wicket, driving, just short of mid-off. Shan Masood diving to his left. I thought for a minute he claimed the catch there. Clearly, obviously didn't. But he put his, whether he was just playing to the crowd a little bit, but he's just a tad slow in getting across, but I don't think it would have carried even if he'd been that little bit faster. Zaib picks up 1, moves on to 20. Kimber in to Bopara, who swings high over mid-wicket, and boy has he got all of that one. My word, that is a good 20 yards over the ropes at deep mid-wicket towards the Stadia utility stand. That was a beautiful swing, but Kimber did rather put it in the slot. There was nobody out there, and hitting with what spin there is, Bopara connected quite sensationally, and that flew high over deep mid-wicket. Bopara onto 34, goes back and cuts at that one, doesn't get anything on it. Taken by Cox just outside off stump. 89 for 2. Kimber a little bit expensive, 19 off his first 10 deliveries. bowls, and Papara just waits for that one, pushes it out into the offside off the back foot, but Thomas gets across well. Nameless and numberless on his Fox's T20 shirt. I'm sure that'll be rectified by Sunday. Kimber is in. Papara is driving again. Thomas is reaching down to his left. Good pick up and throw by the young Somerset Loney, but he can't prevent the single. So in the end, 90 for 2, which, given there was that 6 in the over, the fact that 9 off it, well, Kimber would probably settle for that, but 90 for 2 at the halfway stage. I said 180 would be a good score. I think it will be. But they need these two to keep going for a while. They'll probably be thinking in terms of a few more than that.
Josh Thomas in from the pavilion end once again. This one is pulled nicely onto the leg side, and it's a one bounce for Ravi Bopara. It was nicely timed, sort of towards in between two fielders on that side on the boundary, found the gap between them perfectly and gets himself a one bounce 4. Josh Thomas to go once again around the wicket to Ravi Bopara, left armour to the right-handed batsman. This time just nudges it onto the leg side and jogs in for a casual single as Rehan Ahmed is the fielder moving in from the boundary to collect, and Josh Thomas will switch and go over the wicket, this time to the left-handed Zabe as he goes past the umpire now. Does Thomas. This one cuts to the man who is there square and collected nicely and prevents any run. So a dot ball, 95 for 2 the Steelbacks currently on. As Thomas comes in once again, 4th ball of the over. This one is in the air, but there is not a fielder in the right position. It was towards long off, bounced again in a gap between a couple of fielders over where Louis Kimber was, sort of at mid-off, and over the boundary for another 4. The second of this over. 2 more balls to come as Josh Thomas comes in once again. This one again is in the air, and that is going to go all the way over anyone that might have been at long off, and for a 6 it takes the Steelbacks over 100, and in fact takes them up to 105 for 2 now, turning into an expensive over for the young man in on loan from Somerset. 1 more ball to go. In the other game in the Northern Group, by the way, Richard, this evening, Worcestershire at Derbyshire, they're 11 for 4 after 3 overs. So Worcestershire struggling in that
It's
one.
hard to see either of those two sort of figuring, really, especially if Worcestershire lose that one.
Thomas, final ball of the over. Left arm spin over the wicket. This one is a reverse sweep, and is it taken? No.
On the half volley.
On the, as Richard said, half volley by Rishi Patel with those distinctive red-orange boots, and that will end the over. As we said, an expensive one for Josh Thomas. 15 taken from it. 105 for 2 the Steelbacks now.
Yeah, Ravi Bopara got to go down really as one of England's great one-day players. One of and I mean that sort of domestically as well as internationally. He really is a canny player and clever player and a fine player with both bat and ball. He's on to 40 now. Saves Zabe, looking very dangerous on 30. Came together with the score on 43. They've already raised a good 50 partnership. Wood is in bowls and waiting for the ball. Papara just steers it. He's going to have to hurry. It dives in there. The throw from Sol Budinger at backward point missed the stumps at the non-striker's end. He got the call fairly late, or decided to respond to the call fairly late. And in the end he had to dive in, or felt he had to dive in. Had the throw hit, it would have required a decision of umpire Ashraf, standing at the Bennett end. It didn't, so in the end it was safe enough. Bopara on to 41. Lots of changes to the field for the left-hander. Long on comes into the edge of the circle. They've put a deep extra cover, posted a deep extra cover as Wood is in, bowls, and that is hit straight to Masood at mid-off by Saif Zaib, and Masood made no mistake, nor should he have done. It was absolutely straight to him, right into the bread basket, and it would have been a horrible drop. He didn't drop it, held on to it safely, and Saif Zaib's bright innings comes to an end, and dangerous looking innings comes to an end on 30. The Foxes needed that one. 106 for 3 after 11.2 overs.
I was just about to say they could do with breaking up this partnership here, and thankfully they have been able to do that.
Nice knock from Saif Zaib. Some lovely shots hit in it, and he'll have been disappointed not to go on. But good momentum for the Steelbacks, 106 for 3. Run rate at the moment is 9.3, so 180, 190. Plenty of firepower to come. Maybe could be a close one, this. Could go the distance.
Yeah, Justin Broad, decent batter as well. He's the only Steelbacks player to have more than one half century in the Blast so far this season. 244 runs already.
Wood is in, slightly short of a length to Broad, steers it off the back foot down towards wide-ish third man. Has a bit of work to do with Rishi Patel. He does it, he gets there, but Broad, with that extra little bit of work that Patel had to do, was able to turn and complete 2.
What were you? Was there a bug?
Ladybird.
Ladybird.
Just flew in and just gently helped it out again. Bless it. Just before that Saif Zaib wicket fell, so brought the Foxes a particular bit of fortune on that occasion. Wood is in, bowls, and driven nicely by Broad, but equally nicely fielded, diving to his right. Add extra cover by Kimber. 108 for 3. Just take Broad a ball or two to fully get his eye in, you would have thought. 244 runs coming into this game. 9 innings, averaging 27, just over, a strike rate of just under 150. Justin Broad. Long sleeved shirt on. Wood is in, bowls to him, short, but it's a slower ball bouncer as well. Broad reads it, paddles it almost around the corner out towards square leg, deep square, just in front of square. Van Beek comes into field. Broad takes 1. Nicely held back by Wood.
Coming in slightly lower down the order as well, Broad. Was in at number 3 in the last couple of games.
Our colleague from BBC Radio Northampton, Andrew Radd, said he wanted to see Saif Zaib sort of pushed up the order a little bit, so it did work. In goes Wood, bowls, driven by Bapara, calmly as ever, out towards long off, who had gone back. They brought Hull in from deep fine to the edge of the circle, so kind of had to telegraph the ball to a certain extent there, Wood, but Bapara happy with 110 for 3. Good over for the Foxes, 1 wicket taken in it and only the 5 runs conceded.
I feel like they needed that wicket, that over, particularly after, 15 from the previous over, to then only concede the 5 and get the wicket. I feel like the Foxes needed that, with Thomas now coming on for his 3rd over of the evening. Left arm around the wicket this time, and it's cut nicely by Bapara. Stopped though by the man at deep extra cover, and ensures that it will just be the single, which means Broad is on strike once again. 3 for him from his 3 balls faced so far. And just a little bit of noise starting to brew up around the Uptonsteel County ground. Thomas in once again around the wicket. This time he's bowled him. Went for the sweep, did Broad, and it's caught him out the spin of the young lad Josh Thomas, and he gets himself his 2nd wicket of the evening, taking out the stumps of Broad. And that'll do nicely for the Foxes. Northamptonshire onto 111 for 4 now.
Yeah. Attempting to sweep off the stumps, missed it. Basically, might just have got a little inside edge onto his off stump. It was quite wide. He was sweeping on length, and it was probably a legitimate shot. Really, he just didn't connect as he would have liked to. And yeah, good news for Josh Thomas and for Leicestershire, obviously. But that's Thomas's first T20 wicket in his career. Captained the Somerset second team in T20 earlier this season, Thomas. But always a nice moment for a young cricketer embarking on his career, a first wicket in first team T20.
Yeah, of course, I said second wicket there. It was the catch he took earlier on, that his first wicket of the evening. As he comes in once again, it's George Bartlett, the man coming in for the Steelbacks. He just pulls that one onto the leg side. It's collected by a fielder a few feet in front of the boundary and whipped straight back into Cox, and just the single taken. So Bartlett off the mark and moves the Steelbacks up to 112 for 4. Ravi Bopara on 43, the man to face the 4th ball of the over, and drives this one nicely to the man at deep extra cover. Does stumble as he collects and gives the runners a extra second or so to get themselves in, but it is just the single, and Bartlett will face his second ball of the innings. Around the wicket goes Thomas. Again, this one just cut square onto the offside, collected by the fielder, and which will casual single on that occasion to take Bartlett up to 2.
Yeah, just misfielded by Shan Masood, bounced off him a little bit. Might not have got one there.
As Thomas comes in, final ball of the over. Again, it's cut square, and that one flies past the fielder nicely for a boundary for Ravi Bopara. And a decent end then to the over for the Steelbacks.
8 from it.
Which takes them up then to 118 for 4.
Yeah, be disappointed about that. There were a couple of drag downs in the over. He got away with one that Bartlett, because it was his first ball, just worked into the leg side. He didn't get away with that one against Bopara. 48 off 34 for Bopara, approaching what would be his second 50 of the season. He's not on strike though. It's going to be Bartlett who is on strike. Just the two, and just his 3rd innings of the season. Waits, just bobs at the knees as Van Beek is in, bowls to him on the back foot. He punches it out into the gap at point. There is the sweeper out there, takes his single. Moves on to 3, 119 for 4. Hull called in from fine leg to the edge of the circle, and Kimber goes back from mid off to long off, also long on and deep mid wicket as Van Beek bowls to Bopara, who just waits on off stump, dabs it down to short third. Rishi Patel fields and 1 is taken. Content just to, well, you don't really play an anchor role in T20, but to be the man around whom others can hit, so to speak. Bopara 49 off 35, still pretty impressive strike rate from the Londoner. He watches as Van Beek is in, bowls. Bartlett is bowled, stepped across, tried to pull the delivery from just outside off stump, inside edge, and middle stump is leaning back. So another important breakthrough for the Foxes, the second in consecutive overs, 120 for 5 now, and two middle order men for the Steelbacks have come and gone fairly quickly.
It's actually 3 overs in a row they've taken wickets, Richard. Decent spell for the Foxes. They'll still be very aware that Ravi Bopara is there. We know what he can do, we've already discussed. 1 off his half century, high score for him of 84 not out. in the Blast this season. That's the only time he's gone past 50, incidentally, in the competition this season. But if they could get him in the next over or so, they'd be feeling very good, you'd think, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I think the Steelbacks would settle for 180 now. McManus, who has a checkered history against Leicestershire, and there'll be those Northamptonshire supporters say, forget about it, it happened all a long time ago. You don't forget about something like that. That was when he was playing for Hampshire, though. Van Beek is in, bowls to Lewis McManus on the back foot, drops it to a backward point and takes the quick single. Well, he's called through by Bopara.
I was just about to say, earlier in the campaign he was out for back-to-back ducks in 2 games earlier in the season, and the Leicestershire fans would love to see that happen again today, but he's already moved on to that one.
Bopara on 49. Singles all round the ground. He drives at that one, gets a thick outside edge, and that is going to run down to find third man for a single in the end. But he did get there, third man. He's just down below us in front of the sight screen, so have to wait until he emerges from the shadows underneath there. But that is Bopara's 50. It's come off 36 deliveries, his second of the T20 season. Well played. Wonder what that is overall. Probably find out for you in a few moments' time. But Van Beek, in the meantime, is in to McManus. Bowls a bouncer. That could be a wide, and it will be signalled wide, and he's going to have to bowl that one again. Ravi Bopara in T20s has 48 50. Well, he's now got 50 50s. That's a nice round figure. And as well, he's also got 2 centuries. That's in domestic T20 cricket. He's got 3 in international as well, and that is again short, but doesn't really get up from Van Beek. McManus tries to pull it away, pulls over the top of it, goes through to Cox, and there is no run. So 14 overs have been bowled. Another good one as far as the home side are concerned. 123 for 5, so 5 runs from the over, but again the wicket as well.
Still gloriously sunny here at the Uptonsteel County Ground. Plenty of fans out enjoying a bit of Thursday night cricket, a few beers in the sun. Thursday is the new Friday after all, Richard. I don't know if you've heard. As Josh Thomas is on for his final over of the evening, and he will go left arm around to Ravi Bopara, who drives it nicely to the man at long off, Logan Van Beek. He collects, and it'll be just the single.
I think when the weather's like this, that should be a rule. If the government wants to be popular, bring that in. New law.
Yeah, perfect.
All weekends will henceforward be 3 days.
But the rule is you have to go and watch the cricket on the Thursday night.
Absolutely.
As Thomas comes in once again, this time to McManus, just the 1 run to his name so far, and in fact he clipped it up in the air towards Thomas. It was just a little bit wide of him. He also had Bopara at the other end sort of in his way, had to try and get around him to get to the ball. It did land safe in the end, and McManus able to run through for a single, moves him up to 125 for 5 of the Steelbacks. Thomas with another ball, and this one is cut behind fine to Rishi Patel, and they rush through for the single.
Got away with that one, young Mr. Thomas. Pulled it, had all the time in the world to pull it, but he went straight to Patel on the edge of the circle.
Thomas in for the 4th ball of the over to McManus. He drives this one nicely onto the leg side this time, collected by Louis Kimber, and once again the Steelbacks settle for a single. Just the 4 from this over so far. And Thomas 1 wicket to his name so far. Goes around the wicket to Bopara. A little, well, hint of an appeal from Thomas. He didn't appeal for too long as it clipped the pad of Bopara, and
might have turned a little bit. Like his action. Tall young man.
in for the final ball of the over. Josh Thomas, no he's not, he just decides to take a little step back and restart the action as he just rubs his leg, comes around the wicket once again, and this one is high into the air, it's pulled and it's towards Louis Kimber. Is he going to take it? Yes he is! Out at long on, and Josh Thomas gets his second wicket of the evening, and Leicestershire have another breakthrough. For the fourth over in a row they have a wicket. Northamptonshire 6 down now. Richard, you're shaking your head.
Well, yeah, hopefully he's going to enjoy fortune like that throughout his career, because that was a rank long hop, I'm afraid. McManus went back, tried to pull it into the middle of next week, got it a little bit high on the bat, and well, it went as high as it went long really, and Kimber had a lot of time to think about it, but he's got a very, very good pair of hands, the captain, and he held on. So it may be that Bopara is going to have to sort of take the initiative himself really here, because you know, we've had what, 4 middle order men have come and gone in fairly short order for the Steelbacks, while Bopara continues, and they're in danger of being bowled out for around about 150-60 if they're not careful here.
Yeah, Broad, Bartlett, McManus all coming and going for just the 3. That's Josh Thomas done for the evening in terms of bowling. Couple of wickets.
Yeah, as I say.
Happy with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely will.
His first ever innings in T20, by the way. As Josh Hull comes in from the Bennett end, Richard, and this
down
one
the leg side, and that will be signalled wide. Yeah, 2 for 32 from his 4 overs for Josh Thomas on T20 debut. He'd have probably taken that if it had been offered beforehand. As I say, little bit fortunate, but yeah, I like the way he tossed it up. Wasn't consistent, but you have to have a left arm spinner in T20. They are effective. Hull is in, bowls driven in the air. Did Ahmed get his hands underneath it? He's claiming it. Bopara is standing waiting, and he is going to have to turn and go. He's waiting and he's turning now. Ahmed, it did look like a legitimate catch to me, it has to be said. And Ahmed did get his hands underneath it, so another over, another wicket. It seems to be a regular event now, and the Steelbacks, having begun so promisingly, and after what? After 11 overs, 105 for 2, looking like they were going to get a decent score, are suddenly 129 for 7.
that is the man they wanted as well, isn't it, Bopara? While he was still there, yes, they were losing wickets, but you felt he could be a danger man. The Foxes will be feeling good now. There's 2 new batsmen out there, both of them lower order men, both of them yet to face a ball.
Hull's got 2 for 13 now from 2.1 overs. 2.2, yeah, because it was a wide first up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In he comes then, the shadows lengthening towards him as he bowls to Ben Sanderson, slightly short into the body. Sanderson goes back and just paddles, pulls it around the corner, just makes sure he gets something on it. And, Sam Wood had a run in from deep square to field, just signed a new 2-year contract extension. Ben Sanderson, Yorkshireman, who claims he's not as grumpy as he's sometimes portrayed as being. He also claims that when he came to Northamptonshire he was 6'4", and he's now 6 foot. So whether the implication of that is that they've bowled several inches off him, I'm not sure, but he's been a wonderful servant for the county. Hull is into the left-handed Proctor, who cuts the short ball down to wide third man. Thomas Fields throws on the bounce, doesn't do Cox too many favours, but Cox tidies up in front of the stumps, and the throw and the wicket keeper between them keep it to 131 for 7. And would definitely take 180 now. I suspect that Probably take 170.
I was going to say, if they got 180 now, something's got to go very wrong for the Foxes.
Well, 50 off the last sort of 5 is something that the batting side will be hopeful, but with 7 wickets down, not easy. Hull is in, edged, top, not taken by Cox. I'm pretty sure that was an edge. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just bounce and pace, waiting for the signal. No, the signal is by, so it wasn't an edge. Sanderson swung at the shortish delivery. It's shot through, beat him for pace. Cox sort of gloved it over the bar, so to speak, but he did get a good hand on it, and the fielding was able to be completed before the ball crossed the rope at long stop. But Hull working up a decent amount of pace from that Bennett end. Down the slope he comes, bowls again to Proctor, who waits for the short ball and guides it beautifully. Really did use the pace really intelligently there, Luke Proctor. Just waited on the back foot and guided it down through about second slip. No finer than that. One first slip, second slip, obviously there wasn't either. And although third man was posted and he wasn't too wide, Josh Thomas, they had no chance of running around and cutting off the ball. Lovely, clever shot from Luke Proctor. He moves on to 5, 138 for 7. Really clever shot.
One of those that the fans all appreciated, even if it is the opposition side.
Hull turns, runs in and bowls. Proctor swings him over mid-wicket, could be caught. Ahmed knocks it back, can't hang on to it because he had to step over to the ropes. Made a clean stop, made the catch basically with Ahmed, but he made it as he fell over the ropes at deep mid-wicket. He lobbed it back in, picked the ball up and threw it in, but his weight was all on his back foot, and although he did his best, he couldn't get back to complete the double catch, so to speak. He basically saved 5, essentially. Proctor takes 1 instead, moves on to 6, 139 for 7. Hull goes around the wicket to the right-hander, who tries to swing it away. The full delivery from outside off stump gets a thick inside edge that rolls past his leg stump. He's no idea where it's gone. It's gone down towards long leg, where Josh Thomas is the fielder. Good over from Josh Hull. 140 for 7 at the end of it, so another wicket taken. How many? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that 5 overs in a row? Wicket has fallen.
Correct. Yeah.
It's remarkable. But 11 from it.
12, I think. Is it 140 for 7? Tom Scriven is back on from the pavilion end, past the umpire, right arm over, and this one is pulled nicely just behind square on the leg side, and it has a couple of bounces over the rope, and that'll be another 4 for Northamptonshire.
Yeah, on the legs, and nice little pick-up flick down to wide-ish long leg. Misdirected by Scriven.
Scoreboard not yet updated, but 144 for 7, and Scriven in once again. This time just knocked onto the offside. Quick run in for a single. There was discussions around going for a second with the slight overthrow, but Louis Kimber was there to support and prevented it. And they are 140. We have now, they've caught up. We had disparity between the electronic scoreboard and the manual. Always trust the manual, which was right at 145. The electronic one has now caught up. Sanderson's moved on to 7. Proctor's on 6. Steelbacks 145 for 7. Scriven in for the third of the over to the left-handed Proctor. This one again knocked square on the offside. The single taken, I think.
Yes.
And
Sanderson wanted a second, but I don't think Proctor would have got that.
These two steadily adding further runs, having both come in similar times as Scriven comes in once again. This one a little bit uncomfortable for Sanderson, but he is able to get some bat on it, knock it away, and in fact no, he's not, because it's a leg by, but get something on it and run through for the single, which moves them on to 147. And Scriven is in once again. Mediumish run up past the umpire now over the wicket. This one just clipped away. A little run, and is Cox going to get that? No. So Proctor looked for a second like he was thinking about the single. There was a clear no from Sanderson. Cox turned, had a little throw at the wicket, but did miss it, and in the end it will just be a dot ball. One more left in the over for Tom Scriven, who's got himself 7 wickets in the competition so far. In he comes now to the left-handed Proctor. This one just cut behind square on the offside, and the single taken. So 8 from the over, no wicket. Richard, what is going on? The first over since the 11th for the Foxes that they haven't got themselves a wicket, but just the 8 from it for the Steelbacks. 148 for 7.
Experienced pair though at the crease for the Steelbacks. They know obviously the importance of using all the overs, and 3 overs is quite a lot in T20 cricket. So to come, well, Lloyd Pope, must admit, something of an unknown quantity with the bat at any rate. Wood is in to finish his spell, bowls down the leg side, tries to swing it away. Proctor doesn't get anything on it, but it was down the leg side, and as a consequence umpire Ashraf steps from behind the stumps at the Bennett end and extends his arms, looks plaintively at the scorers, waiting for the acknowledgement. The acknowledgement comes, and Wood has to bowl it again on 49 for 7. Still 3 overs to go. Can they get it up to 180? Wood is in, outside off stump, slower ball, slightly short. Wood is on top there because Proctor did try to swing it away to the leg side, but he was defeated by the lack of pace. It swung too early, missed, bounced through to Ben Cox behind the stump. So good comeback by young Sam Wood. He too just I think he's still 19, I'll have to check his birth date. Runs in and bowls. Proctor gives him the charge, and he bounces him. Proctor tries to swing it away, and that is signalled as 1 for the over. It was well bowled by Wood. Banged it in, but it wasn't too short. Proctor not a particularly tall man, but he did crouch slightly as he tried to hook it away. Went over his shoulder through to Cox, so well bowled again by Wood. Another dot ball. In shadow now from the trees behind the electronic scoreboard. He bowls, and Wood again fetches it from outside off stump wristily, somehow gets it down to wide-ish long leg. Rishi Patel, very identifiable down there. The only one favouring the neon orange boots. Picks it up.
Not sure they're for me, but as you say, it makes it nice and easy to identify Rishi. So I'm all
you are
for
the BBC Radio Leicester fashion icon, so I will take your word that they are not the thing, as they say. In goes Wood, bowls again very short. That will be a no ball on height, I suspect, and indeed umpire Ashraf's left hand is immediately extended. It will be a free hit for Ben Sanderson. So Wood getting a little bit carried away with banging it in halfway down the pitch. Got that one horribly wrong. It was very high. And he comes again. Where will Sanderson try and hit this? Sanderson steps away, clubs it out towards wide-ish mid on. He isn't really a slogger, Ben Sanderson. He can connect on his day, but it isn't really his game. Shan Masood did the fielding. Sanderson took his single, moves on to 8 from 8. Proctor has 9 from 9, 153 for 7. Proctor steps away, left out. Previous game, in goes Wood and bowls slower ball. Proctor picks him up off his toes, but it is fielded on the square leg boundary. Whips it. He is very leg-sided when he's hitting. Luke Proctor somehow managed to get that out to deep square. The ball was fielded on the bounce in front of the little Stench and Benno contingent over there who are very quiet. Don't know whether they're listening to us, but they're almost somnolent in the sun, perhaps stupefied by the heat as in goes Wood. Bowls to Ben Sanderson short. Again, Sanderson tries to hook again, and then there is no signal from the umpire, and then he says, well, why isn't there a signal? He can't quite believe it. That's height, and he's got to be a bit careful here, Ben Sanderson, because he's making his feelings very plain to umpire Ashraf, who's giving him a bit of a ticking off here. And umpire Pratt as well, Neil Pratt, came in from square leg and said it wasn't, and umpire Ashraf is telling Ben Sanderson what for. You don't signal. You know, I'll tell you if it's a wide, and he's getting a lecture here, Ben Sanderson, and he's going to be on the naughty step. He's giving it plenty back, but the two umpires are miffed. We can definitely say they are miffed. And the lecture goes on. Umpire Pratt's wagging his finger at Sanderson now. I don't know about not being grumpy, but he looks pretty grumpy out there at the moment. And he's still chuntering back here. He's got to be a little bit careful. Umpire Ashraf's taking his notebook out. He's going to get a booking. And he's talking to the scorers. I wonder if there's going to be a penalty.
As Van Beek comes in for his final over, and this one's a full toss that's just sort of turned behind to fine by Proctor. Bit of a... How would you describe that one, Richard? It was
a slower ball, but it came out wrong, and I thought for a horrible minute it was going to be above the waist high full toss, which again would be a no ball and a warning for Van Beek, but it dipped and it sort of reached him about shin high really, and Proctor just sort of turned it around the corner, but it was one of those where the batsman will have been flinching slightly.
So Van Beek in once again to Sanderson, who's not happy at the minute, over the wicket, and this one just dug out of the ground by Sanderson, and they're able to rush in as it hits the floor, bounces straight up, and Van Beek, the man, rushing into field, but the Northants lads able to come in for the single. 156 for 7.
Wood's finished with 1 for 29 from his 4 overs, by the way.
As Van Beek comes in once again past the umpire and bowls it to Proctor, who just clips it onto the offside, and again they take the single. Moves him up to 12 off of 12 balls. Sanderson 9 from 10. Of course, it's with the ball that Sanderson's done all his talking, as you would expect. The top wicket taker in the entire blast for the campaign, as Van Beek comes in once again over the wicket to Sanderson, who swings at it, can't get anything on it, but Cox also can't collect. He fumbles with the ball, and it's eventually collected by Josh Hull, and Northamptonshire able to take advantage and get themselves a cheap single. 158 for 7. As sun just behind a cloud at the minute, shadows getting longer on this Thursday evening as Van Beek comes in, bounces this one. It's misfielded by the man at third man, and well, it was bounced up high. Batter able to reach up, get contact onto it. It bounced in front of the man out there.
It's Josh Hull down there, and it was a horrible bounce, but it wasn't the greatest attempt to stop it that we've ever seen.
No, be disappointed to allow the boundary as Van Beek comes in for the final ball of the over to Proctor. This one clips around once again onto the leg side between the two fielders and gets himself a second boundary in a row to add nicely to Northamptonshire's figures. Before those couple of balls you were thinking it was a decent over for Van Beek, but in the end 12 off it, 166 for 7, and that target of 180, Richard, not
impossible. 14 off the last over there. You know, the 175, they'll think they've got a chance of defending. I think Northampton, you know, they'd have hoped for a few more, but it's not out of the game, it feels, if they get there. Leicestershire hoping desperately to keep them to 170 or less. Josh Hull is in to Sanderson, who swings, gets a thick inside edge at the full delivery. It runs down towards deep backward square. In goes Wood to field, keeps it 2-1. Still think there might be repercussions for Sanderson for that. He argued with the umpires, and they were both giving him a lecture, and then umpire Ashraf was on the radio to the scorers, and keep a careful eye on that one. Pull over the wicket to the left-handed Proctor, who's on 20 off 14. Bowls. Proctor swings and misses outside off stump, then looks hopefully back down the pitch at umpire Ashraf, who walks pointedly away from the stumps without signalling wide. It didn't look wide, it was just outside off stump. He had a big swing and missed. 4 balls to go in the innings. 167 for 7. Feeling at the moment is it's sort of 15 or so, maybe 20 under par. We shall see. Umpire Ashraf is looking at his watch now. 19:51 is the cut-off time, but they'd started the over. Hull had started the over before then, so that isn't an issue. Hull over the wicket to Proctor, short, goes for the pull, doesn't get anything on it, into the body it goes, drops out towards Silly Point, and the leg by, he says, waiting to see if there's a signal. Might have been inside edge onto the body. Don't think there was a signal from umpire Ashraf. Indeed, Proctor then picks up one inside edge onto the body and dropped out to Silly Point. Single taken. 168 for 7. 3 balls to go. Hull 2 for 25 from his 3.5 overs so far. So he's got better as he's bowled each over. For me, the pace has picked up as well. Got a little bit smoother at the crease. Famous last words. Goes in and bowls. Sanderson backs away. Hull tries to follow him. It's worked out towards deep mid wicket. In comes Thomas. Throws on the bounce to Ben Cox. Good throw. And keeps Sanderson to 1. Sanderson on to 11. But these two have added 40 now for the 8th wicket. Came together when Bapara was caught by Ahmed off the bowling of Hull. 129 for 7 at that stage. So they've made sure. They've used their experience to ensure that Northamptonshire have got a score. They've got something they'll be hopeful they can defend. They know they'll probably need wickets though. Hull is in to Proctor, who cuts pleasantly. Just short-ish outside, just outside off stump, but there is the sweeper out there on the offside boundary. So again, it's just the single. 170 for 7. Proctor on to 22. One legitimate delivery to come. Can Sanderson get it away? Can Hull prevent him so doing? Walks back to the top of his mark, tosses the ball from hand to hand. Sun sinking away now into the cloud, away to our right up here on the pavilion. Hull is in. Sanderson swings, misses, and he's going to be run out. No, the throw hits Sanderson, and as a consequence he picks up a bye. Cox stands, well, he was called through Ben Sanderson by Luke Proctor. The delivery which he swung at and missed went straight to Cox, but Cox obviously standing quite a long way back for Josh Hull. Sanderson suddenly realised that Proctor was galloping towards him, set off up the other end. The underarm throw from Cox should have been taken by Hull, but it sort of went into the back of Sanderson, dropped to the feet. Hull picked it up and did lob the ball at the stumps, but he missed and Sanderson made his ground. So rather scruffy end, but as far as the Foxes are concerned, just 5 from that last over. Northamptonshire Steelbacks finish on 171 for 7. I suspect, Jack, that Leicestershire would have taken that when they were 105 for 2. but they'll also be a little bit disappointed at having handed them 129 for 7. They weren't able to sort of finish the Steelbacks off for sort of 160, something around that sort of level. I think Leicestershire are the favourites from here, and they'll be pleased with that ultimately, but it is a sort of failure.
Yeah, as I said, the score is but as points out 105 for at the end of the 11th over, and then to take wicket, going 5 overs to leave Wicket for 7. Decent partnership at the end. To them Owen to 171 for target the Foxes 172.
Oh, what a comeback that is. God,
Now very much in this, the Foxes fighting hard.
Brilliant shot from Goldsworthy.
Oh, what a comeback that is. Got him.
And taken. They are very much in this, the Foxes. They are fighting hard.
for 15 as well in the reverse game at Wantage Road. So the real danger man with the ball for Northamptonshire. He will bowl to Budinger, facing up for the first time. He comes past the umpire, does Sanderson, and Budinger drives it nicely past the man at mid-off, and he chases, but to no avail, and it crosses the boundary. Budinger with his first 4 of the evening from the first ball that he's faced takes the Foxes up to 7 for 1.
Uncharacteristically just slightly over pitch there, Ben Sanderson.
Sanderson comes in once again past the umpire to Budinger, right arm over. This time it's just clipped around square on the leg side. They take the single.
Boundary off the first ball takes so much pressure off. You know, you can pretty much relax, but look to work it around. If the opportunity is there to hit another, great, but if it isn't, you don't have to take any risks. So Masood can have a little, he tends to look for singles off his first few balls, doesn't he, rather than go big straight away.
It was such a great innings from him at Nottinghamshire, although in the end still on the losing side as Sanderson comes in once again to Shan Masood. This one is taken by the fielder on the offside, no single taken, so they remain on 8 for 1.
Got himself a bit squared up there. He was looking to play it on the leg side, and not quite a leading edge, but certainly not where he was looking to play it.
Just a couple of conversations between Sanderson and some of his teammates. In now over the wicket once again. This time it's driven by Masood. It did catch a little bit of air, but thankfully dipped and bounced before it got to the fielder. Stopped though by that man out there at cover, and means that the single is prevented. A second dot ball in a row for the Foxes, who just want to speed things up a little bit, given it's the power play. Sanderson in for the 5th ball of the over now to the left-handed Shan Masood. This one straight back to Sanderson, and it's going to be another dot ball. 5 runs conceded so far in this over. Sanderson walks back casually to get himself back into position. A little conversation between Masood and Budinger between the wickets. And just one more from the over now. Number 28 on the back of Sanderson comes in now over the wicket. This one again just defended back by Masood. He did have a brief shout for a potential run for Budinger, decided not to go for it, and having got that boundary on the first ball of the over, they were only able to add one more. 8 for 1 at the end of the second.
Yep. As I mentioned, Masood doesn't mind having a look early on, and he has got plenty of overs. Certainly if he's there after 15, 16 overs, Leicestershire will be well on their way to winning the game, if not having won it already. So as long as he does, once he's had his look get going, then that's fine. It does add a little bit to the pressure on Budinger, who's 5 off 2 balls. He's facing Willie now. Broad has gone in at slip as Willie bowls in the air, but lofted over point to the point boundary by Budinger. Clever shot. Willie's got his hands on his hips, can't quite believe he got it as far and as high as he did, really, with the shot he was playing off the front foot there, Budinger. But he is in good nick, and he has got a pretty good bat. Lofted it over the man at backward point. Quite sure how, really, reaching out, clipping it away off the front foot. As I say, Willie stands with his hands on his hips at the sheer effrontery of it all. Budinger on to 9, 12 for 1. Willie into him again. He is off driving, and he's got all of that. I think that went the whole distance. Umpire Ashraf raises 2 hands just over the ropes at long off, and he didn't quite get all of it, but he got plenty of it, and with mid-off up, Sanderson on the edge of the circle. It was a reasonably safe lofted off drive by Sol Budinger, and he picks up 10 off 2 balls, and Broad does now come out of the slip. He goes into the covers. Sanderson doesn't go back though, he stays on the edge of the circle. No change to the 2 outriders. Willie is in, and he's on driven for 4. Lovely shot from Sol Budinger, classic on drive really, and Willie overpitched on that occasion. He walks back with his head down, but Budinger, as Jack mentioned, equalled the record for a T20 50 earlier this season with a 50 off just 15 deliveries. Well, he's on 19 off 5 now. 5 or 6? 5.
Did I say before he wouldn't do that tonight? I said he wouldn't do it.
Early doors. In goes Willie Bowles. He steps away, cuts, and almost picked up another boundary there, but it was just close enough to backward point for Tim Robinson to make the stop to his right. That was as nicely timed as any of the 3 previously struck deliveries, but it was just too close to Robinson, sporting a natty pair of reflective sunglasses perched atop his cap, the New Zealander. Scrimshaw watches on from short third man as Willie bowls to Budinger. Good length delivery that Budinger just works out into the offside. Bapara is the fielder.
Gone over 300 runs for the Blast this season has Budinger with, well, he did that when he went past 11, he's on 19 at the minute. Leicestershire's top run scorer in the competition this season by quite a bit actually.
350s to his name already. In goes Willie. He's clipped by Budinger in the air, but no one in close at mid-wicket. It drops around about 15 yards from the bat, bounces out towards mid-wicket on the edge of the circle, and Budinger takes one and keeps the strike. He moves on to 20 of 8 deliveries and a good over for the Foxes. 15 from it, and after 3 overs they're 23 for 1.
We've been talking so much, haven't we, about Leicestershire needing somebody to have one of those big innings that win games. You feel like if Budinger could look to do that today, we've already said he's got 350s, the only Leicestershire player to have more than one this campaign, but his top score is 55. You just think if he's going to push on, be that guy for the Foxes, can he get up to 60, 70, maybe even further for the Foxes this evening? As Sanderson back on from the pavilion end towards the left-handed Budinger. This one is pulled, well, I was going to say pulled onto the leg side, but maybe the timing wasn't quite what Budinger had hoped, and it sort of made its way towards the man around mid-on and gets just the single in the end. It puts Shan Masood back onto strike.
Just have held it back a bit, might just have stuck a little bit as well. We've seen a few batters fail to time it.
Sanderson in once again past the umpire to Shan Masood. It's driven nicely onto the offside, just the single though as it's taken by the fielder. And Fox is just adding one more, 25 for 1. They're on at the moment. The Duckworth-Lewis comparison is at 26. So things looking pretty even at the moment as Sanderson comes in once again, this time to Budinger. It's down the leg side. It's going to be a wide signalled by the umpire. Budinger did have a little sweep at it, but a swing at it, but no contact, and he gets to have another pop with it going down the leg side. 26 for 1 are the Foxes. It is on BBC Radio, Leicester Sport, 5 Live, Sports Extra 3, and of course the YouTube stream as Sanderson comes in once again to repeat that ball. This one is smacked straight back over his head by Budinger. A fielder gets a hand on it, he prevents the boundary, and his teammate just helps him. The two men at mid and long off.
Yeah, Luke Proctor diving away to his right, saves 3 runs really. Willie helped him, picking it up as he dived across to his right and deflected the ball away.
I said, as we get a little smell of smoke coming in from somewhere.
Nearby, yeah. Shouldn't be.
Up on the top of the pavilion as Sanderson comes in once again. 4th ball of the over, this time to Shan Masood. Clips it around nicely onto the leg side. It's square and collected by the man at deep square leg. And once again, it's just the single for the Foxes. 5 off the over so far. A couple more balls to come. Budinger back on strike, having hit 22 off 10 so far. Had a quick start with 3 fast boundaries. Calmed things down a little bit in this over as he pulls that one onto the leg side, and it comfortably goes for a 6 in between the 2 fielders out there. It was up high, Budinger able to reach, get his bat onto it, and he gets the maximum for the Foxes.
Yeah, lovely pick up by Budinger. Saw it early. Sanderson banged it into the pitch, and it sat up quite nicely, but the pitch didn't take any pace off it, so it came on nicely as well, and Budinger saw it early, as I say. 28 off 11 for him now.
That's one more to face from Sanderson as the Foxes fans find their voice. Sanderson into Budinger, who goes big again in towards Cow Corner. It is over the rope, and it is another 6 consecutive sixes for Sol Budinger to end the 4th over very nicely indeed.
17 off it with those 2 sixes, with 12 off the last 2 deliveries. So Ben Sanderson, who's been so good this season, being treated with a degree of lèse-majesté by Sol Budinger. 34 off 12 for Budinger. Masood, however, will be on strike. I have a feeling that smell is coming from the Northamptonshire balcony below us. I think the coach is fond of the occasional drag, so probably glowing brightly at the moment, that fact, at the moment, with those 2 big sixes from Sol Budinger. 40 for 1 off 4. George Scrimshaw comes on to replace David Willey at the Bennett end. Bowls down the leg side. Masood steps across, but despite stepping across, it was still a long way down the leg side, and the wide is signalled. Still sporting that tash, George Scrimshaw.
Very much back in, Richard.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
He always has, as he was known as Officer Crabtree for a while. That's a generational reference. Bowl short and nicely played by Masood. He's guided it really nicely off his chest. It wasn't a bad bouncer, not a bad short ball from Scrimshaw, but as we saw a couple of times in the Northamptonshire innings, Proctor did it once really nicely, and Masood has done it really nicely there. It was up around his chest, and he just, with a slightly angled bat, almost let it run off the face of the bat down through about second slip, and although third man is fairly fine, had no chance of getting across there, Proctor, and Masood picks up 4, 45 for 1. So 5 from the first legitimate delivery, effectively. Scrimshaw is in slower ball, short ball, and this time Masood waiting for it, guides it down towards backward point, but this time Robinson is there in position and makes the stop dot ball.
I pitched the idea of me possibly going for a moustache to the better half, and got a very polite maybe not. It's the beard I've got at the minute. I don't think she'd want rid of that, but maybe I'll show her a picture of George Scrimshaw. She might change her mind.
In goes Scrimshaw, and bowls short down the leg side. Tries to pull it away, Shan Masood. Might have been a bit of glove as much as bat. No signal from the umpire. It ran fairly slowly out towards deep backward square, and 1 is taken. Not flexing his fingers or anything like it, so it just didn't really connect as he would have liked, Shan Masood. He moves on to 9 off 12. Sun emerges from behind the slight cloud that built up away to the west. Shadows appear all over the ground again. Gorgeous evening. Scrimshaw into Budinger, who wristily turns it down to the leg side, very close to the man at short fine, but he reacted a little bit slowly there. Is it safe save there? I'm not quite sure. And he's hopped across to his right, but he sort of made the stop, but it was all a little bit messy. Stop was made though, so just a signal even to Sol Budinger. He moves on to 35, 47 for 1. 2 balls, 2 legitimate deliveries, that is, to go in the over as Grimshaw is in. Again, it's a little bit leg side. Again, Masood goes for the pull. Again, he doesn't really time it, and it runs out to Broad at shortish mid wicket. That's Pope, Lloyd Pope there at short fine leg. He too sporting a beard, but not the Scrimshaw tash. Tall man. One of those who stops at the end of his run-up and steadies himself before charging in and bowling. A slightly slower delivery. Masood drops it out into the offside, takes a couple of steps down the wicket. Says he thinks there was a quick single in there. Looked a little bit suicidal to me, and it certainly did to Sol Budinger, because Budinger, you heard the call of no, sent him back. Masood looks disappointed, but I think it was the right call from Budinger. So 7 from the over, relatively decent one in a power play as far as the bowler is concerned. Leicestershire 47 for 1 off 5.
Northamptonshire were 45 for 2 at this stage. Willie going out in the 5th over, so extra wicket and an extra couple of runs. If we're comparing in that way, Proctor, the man to take over from the pavilion end for the Steelbacks, missed out in the defeat to Worcestershire last time out. He comes in right arm over to Budinger. He mistimes it somewhat, but gets some contact on it and able to run through for the single. Shan Masood quick to back him up and encourage the run. 48 for 1. And Masood facing strike once again. They face the same amount of balls of Masood and Budinger. Masood on 9, Budinger on 36 at the moment. Rishi Patel out early doors as Proctor comes in once again. This one is pulled nicely by Shan Masood for a 1 bounce 4. So in the cow corner area, it was timed nicely by the former Pakistani captain and gets himself 4 runs.
Yeah, you can't, at Luke Proctor's pace now, you can't bang it in short without a deep mid wicket in the power play of a T20 to a class bat like Shan Masood, and it kind of got what it deserved, I'm afraid.
Proctor in once again to Masood. This one straight back over his head, and once again it's going to have the same outcome and run for 4 for Masood. You didn't look impressed with that one, Richard.
No, he's not quick enough to bowl short, really, unless he really varies his pace now, and that sat up nicely, and it was almost baseball style, whacked straight back over him by Shan Masood. Got again what it deserved. I refer the honourable gentleman to my previous reply.
Proctor in once again to Masood. This one clipped square on the leg side, the single taken after a couple of boundaries in a row. Shan Masood now moved up to 18 off of his 17 balls, and Sol Budinger will be on strike for the 5th ball of the over. 57 for 1 are the Foxes, and Proctor coming in once again past the umpire now to Budinger, who swings at this one. It's edged behind him, but he's going to be safe. It's bounced fortuitously in between a couple of fielders, and in the end the Foxes able to run through 4-2. Budinger slightly lucky though there. He moves on to 38.
Yeah, big top edge. Just went far enough beyond short third man. Pope couldn't get there, chased back, managed to make the stop, but wasn't that far from just being able to get underneath it.
Proctor in for the final ball of the over. Sol Budinger, the man facing, and swings at it. Is that going to be a wide? No, says the umpire, and it will be the end of the over. 59 for 1, 12 taken from that one, Richard.
Yep, I mean, it must have just brushed the pad, but I think on the whole, Leicestershire were pretty pleased with that power play, especially having been 8 for 1 after 2. You know, the last 4 overs, 51 runs and no wickets lost, and you would certainly take that. I think at the end of the power play, if anything, they probably increased their chances of winning the game. And with Masood at the crease, they're in good shape, essentially. The Steelbacks need to take wickets if they're going to put the Foxes under pressure.
It's a beautiful evening, isn't it?
It is.
Perfect for cricket.
Scrimshaw is in from the Bennett end. Bowl short down the leg side. Masood tries to help it on its way down towards fine leg. Doesn't get anything on it. Taken by McManus, but wide is signalled, as well as 1 for the over. Scrimshaw, he only conceded 7 runs from his first over in the power play, but he's inevitably, well, he got away with that one to a certain extent. Could have almost been a no ball as well on height. In he comes, bowls. Masood tries to swing it away on the leg side. It is a slightly fuller delivery. It's still slightly short. Doesn't get anything on it. Thumps into the thigh pad. Winces slightly as it does so. Might have been just above the thigh pad into the waist area. Drops back down the pitch, and Scrimshaw fields in his follow through. This season, GLS Scrimshaw, 15 wickets. An average of 21.5, a best of 4 for 90, and he's been very much a key member of the Steelbacks bowling attack. Bowls, slower delivery just on off stump, pushed by Masood out towards mid-off. He calls Budinger through for the single, which is completed comfortably enough. Sanderson ends up fielding, coming in from mid-off. Masood on to 19, 61 for 1.
In the other game in the North Group, by the way, Worcestershire, having been 10 for 4 after 2.5 overs, recovered in the end to get themselves 174 for 6. Derbyshire 4 for 1 in their chase.
Yeah, sounds competitive. Scrimshaw bowls, Budinger pulls out towards deep mid wicket. Safe Zabe runs up the ropes and fields, throws on the bounce to McManus. Didn't quite get all of it there. Sol Budinger has to settle for 1. What is? Oh, it's a no ball. He has overstepped George Scrimshaw. A genuine no ball, so that will be a free hit for Shan Masood. Well, that is a little bit inexcusable. You don't often see it in T20s, an overstepping no ball. See a few no balls on height these days, but it is such an offence from the bowler's point of view, from the bowling side's point of view, that as I say, you don't see it at all very often. Can Masood do anything with the free hit? Scrimshaw is in. Masood tries to swing it over the Uptonsteel stand, but he doesn't manage to connect cleanly. It thumps into the pad, bounces back down the wicket. Scrimshaw escapes, not quite scot-free, because obviously 2 for the no ball. And he checks with umpire Ashraf about where his front foot is landing. He turns and marches back up to the top of his mark. Sort of pleased murmur around the Uptonsteel ground at the moment. Scrimshaw is in, slow ball lifted over extra cover, nicely, cleverly by Masood, and it is going to go all the way to the boundary at extra cover. The sweeper chasing up the ropes, couldn't get there. Clever shot from Masood. He adjusted to the slower delivery, lofted it over the leaping Papara in the covers, and the outfield really did the rest. Scooted away to the deep extra cover boundary for 4. Masood on to 23, 68 for 1. First
quiet chant of Leicestershire la 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 goes up. There's a lot of stewards over there at the moment. In goes Scrimshaw and bowls down the leg side. That'll be another wide, I'm afraid. Excuse me. And is so signalled by umpire Ashraf. So this is what with the no ball and the wide. Is that the first wide or was it the second wide? Was the first ball was a wide as well, wasn't it? He's actually only bowled 4 legitimate deliveries. The score moves on to 69 for 1. There is a slight slope down from that Bennett end. Scrimshaw is in short outside off stump. Masood cuts it away in front of square, calls for the second. Sweeper comes in, gets his throw away, but it's a long throw from out there. It's George Bartlett out there. And by the time he gets his throw away on the bounce, Masood and Budinger have comfortably really completed 2. Masood onto 25, 71 for 1. They're almost less than 100, and they've got the rate required down to 7.7. These two now. Scrimshaw, perhaps to finish his over, is in and bowls. It isn't going to be finished. Oh, it's a call for a catch behind. He's given. Well, that is an absolute strangle down the leg side. I think it would have been most definitely a wide had Masood not swung at it. He did swing at it. It just must have clipped glove or bottom of the bat, and well, off the bat it came, and McManus diving away to his right managed to hold on. So a good end, if a slightly fortuitous one, to the over for George Scrimshaw on for the Steelbacks. A wicket they badly needed, but the wicket has come nonetheless. So after 7 overs, the Foxes are 71 for 2.
Yeah, just comparing that once again to where the Steelbacks were at this stage. They were 59 for 2 at the end of the 7th. They'd slowed down a little bit and then added a fair few in the overs not too long after that. And I just give Northamptonshire a little bit of confidence, a little bit of momentum, the fact they've been able to break up what was a decent partnership, wasn't it, from Masood and Budinger. It will be the opener, Sol Budinger, to face the first ball of this next over. Pope, the man, the Australian leg spinner from the pavilion end. He comes into the left-handed Sol Budinger over the wicket, and he drives it nicely towards the man at long off. It is collected though, and just the single, which means Rehan Ahmed will come on to strike for the first time this evening. Of course, still struggling with that side issue, means he's not bowling at the minute. You hear that they're hopeful that he might be able to get at least something in the coming games. Of course, play again on Sunday, then on Tuesday as well next week, as Lloyd Pope comes in once again over the wicket to the right-handed Rehan Ahmed. He defends for his first ball of the innings, just easing himself into things, and be hopeful he can make a difference with the bat. Lloyd Pope comes in once again, this time again defended back by Rehan Ahmed. Just getting a feel for the pitch. Budinger on 40 at the other end. Rehan Ahmed yet to score. He looks to go big this time. It goes in the complete opposite direction from where he was looking. Gasps from Richard Ray. Thankfully though, it does land safely and on the offside, and they're able to run through for the single.
Yeah, he gave Pope the charge and nowhere near it really. Went through with the shot. Fortunate to get away with that, Rehan Ahmed.
Pope in once again to Budinger this time, who cuts that nicely onto the offside, but it's stopped well and bravely by the fielder. It was coming at him with such pace.
Brilliant back.
Dived in front of it, didn't he? And sort of just used his body to stop it going through, as Pope comes in once again to Budinger. This one, it had a bit of air to it, thankfully didn't carry, and well,
good over.
A very good over for the Steelbacks, just the 2 off it, 73 for 2.
Yeah, neither batsman really knew what to make of him. Ahmed had a look at a couple. There was a nice drive from Budinger off the first when it was over pitch, but when he did find his length, which he pretty much did straight away after that, they weren't quite sure how to play him, the Foxes, and both a little bit lucky, although there was a brilliant piece of fielding by Para just to his right of a clubbing drive from Budinger. So Pope asking questions. Scrimshaw, after that slightly lucky wicket at the end of his last over, is going to continue from the Bennett end, bowling to Rehan Ahmed. Outside off stump, Ahmed, bit of a flat-footed attempt to swipe it away through the offside. He can look such an orthodox player, Rehan Ahmed, but just sometimes when he doesn't use his feet, and he doesn't quite a lot of the time in fairness, he relies on his eye. When he misses the ball, it can get a little bit ugly, and that did. Attempt to carve it away through the offside. Risky attempt. Missed. So a little bit of a break in proceedings being put on the Leicestershire innings by the Steelbacks. Scrimshaw was ready to go, but Willie had something to say, so he stops halfway through his run in and holds up his hand to David Willey, his former captain, of course. Turns, in he goes again, bowls, Ahmed, top edges over the keeper for four byes. I thought I climbed off the edge, but Scrimshaw got that one to rise nicely off the pitch, and Ahmed again went to try and cut it away, didn't get anything on it on the rising delivery, and it was over McManus, high over McManus to the long stop behind him for 4 byes. 77 for 2. Leicestershire won't mind how they come as long as they come. 95 now needed.
Sometimes when it has gone a bit slow and maybe the crowd are getting a bit tetchy, you need a little bit of luck like that, 4 runs to excite the fans and sort of get them a bit jovial given the circumstances in which they got them.
Yeah, good bounce and carry from Scrimshaw.
Apparently the ball went all the way into the Charles Palmer suite.
Yeah. I mean, startling. In goes Scrimshaw and bowls, chopped, and that one did come off the top edge, bounces once and crosses the ropes. So this time Ahmed did get something on it. It didn't climb quite so high. He went for the cut, went high through about third slip, about head high, bounced just short of the ropes and into the sight screen, I suspect, for 4. So again, Scrimshaw proving expensive. So much. He's such an exciting bowler to watch sometimes. He's always had a lot of potential, but hasn't quite really fulfilled it with his height and pace. In he goes and bowls to Ahmed, who backs away and just pushes the full delivery. Scrimshaw tries to follow him, and he pushes it out towards deep-ish point and takes the single. Moves on to 6, 82 for 2. He has had injuries to contend with. George Scrimshaw, I'd say, playing a fairly full part in Northant's T20 campaign this season. Comes in and bowls to Sol Budinger, who tries to smash him away over mid-wicket. He appeals for leg before as it thumps into the pad, pitched a long way. Outside leg was probably going down. The appeal from Scrimshaw was heartfelt and quite impressively theatrical, turned with 2 hands to the umpire, but it had no support at all from anybody else in the field, most notably wicketkeeper McManus, which is always something of a giveaway. And umpire Ashraf not impressed, at least not sufficiently so to raise the finger. 82 for 2. Been a much better over though, this from Scrimshaw, who is in. Moving around in the crease is Budinger, who's going to be caught at wide-ish mid-on. He moved back, he moved forward. Scrimshaw bowled. It was a full toss in the end. Budinger got it off the bottom of the bat, and it was taken by Willie at wide-ish mid-on. So again, Wasn't the greatest delivery that George Scrimshaw has ever bowled, but it has again resulted in a wicket, and 2 quick wickets for the Steelbacks. They're back very much in the game. 82 for 3. Again, it was the last ball of the Scrimshaw over, and well, suddenly he's looking at 2 for 24 off his 3 overs, and he's sent both Masood and Budinger back to the pavilion.
Once again, Richard, we're talking about a decent innings from one of the Leicestershire lads, but not able to take sort of those extra steps to make it a match-winning innings. He'll be disappointed, won't he, Budinger, to not get his 4th half-century of the Blast campaign so far. And all of a sudden, you've got 2 fresh-ish batsmen in there. Rehan Ahmed, 6 off 7 so far, and his captain Louis Kimber has come in to join him. And it needs some decent runs from these 2, you would think.
There's nothing in it on comparison grounds. After 9 overs, Steelbacks 81 for 2, Foxes 82 for 3.
As Pope comes in once again from the pavilion. This one cut by Rehan Ahmed into the ground, though collected by the fielder, and it'll be a dot ball. Pope, blonde hair, over the wicket once again cut by Rehan Ahmed. This one though just behind square and out towards the 3rd man area, but no fielder there, and it will be a boundary for Ahmed. And a well-timed one after a couple of wickets for the Foxes.
This is a group called Thin Lizzy, Jack.
Oh, I am more than aware. Don't you worry about that, Richard.
Thought that might be too old.
The boys are certainly back in town as Pope comes in once again, and straight back towards him. There is a fielder though, it's prevented from going for a boundary. Yeah, back in my university days, Richard, which was a good 15 years ago now, it was our post-exams theme tune. If we'd all finished our exams, it meant the boys were back in town, and that's what we would play in our house of 7
You're
lads.
older than you look, England.
I'll take that. Pope ready to go again. It's Kimber to face the first ball of his innings. The spinner, he goes for the reverse sweep, and it's nice past the fielder, and pretty much the exact area where Rehan Ahmed earned a boundary a little earlier in the over. Louis Kimber does it with the reverse sweep with his first ball of the innings. It's nice from the Leicestershire captain.
Yeah, beautiful timer of the ball. Whether he's hitting right-handed or left-handed, it would appear.
Pope once again, 5th ball of the over, just creeping past the umpire as Kimber swings at this one, doesn't get the connection he'd like this time. A couple of shouts, and we have your favourite noise.
Yeah, we're completely misplaced, really.
Do it to the opposition, I think, not the lads. As Pope comes in, final ball of the over. Louis Kimber waiting to face up. Again, he goes big, back over the bowler's head and back straight over the head of the man at long off, who dives over the boundary but can't get anything on it. And Louis Kimber gets himself a 6 to take him up to 10 and makes that a nice over in the end for the Foxes. Decent over, 97 for 3, 15 off it then for the Foxes. And as I said, needed after that wicket of Budinger in the 9th over. So at the halfway stage, 97 for 3, 75 required for the Foxes. Where do you put this in terms of percentages, Richard, do you think?
I mean, you have to look at Leicestershire being the favourites, although they have lost one more wicket than the Steelbacks at this stage. Steelbacks were 90 for 2, Leicestershire 97 for 3, but 2 fairly destructive batsmen at the crease, and the point is that they know what they need, and they should be able to judge it accordingly. Safe Zaib's going to have a bowl, a little bit of left arm spin from the Bennett end, bowls to Ahmed, who drives into the ground. It bounces out to Bapara at a shortish extra cover. He makes the stop. Bowls again. Ahmed goes back and drives it, or drives it really along the ground all the way out towards deep backward point, who fields on the boundary just in broad there, in front of a slightly raucous element in the Uptonsteel stand. And they give him a cheer when he doesn't stop it cleanly at the first attempt, but he grabs it quickly at the second and makes sure there's no chance of a second run. Brings Kimber down to face Zabe. Bowles tosses it up. Kimber drives. It was a full toss, in fact. Stopped at deep extra by a sliding fielder in front of the electronic scoreboard. A good effort out there. I think it's David Willey out there. Put in the slide, made the stop, got his left arm throw away, and again kept Kimber to 2. Saved 2 runs. Really brings up the Leicestershire 100. Zabe is in. Kimber goes back. It stays low. Comes off an inside edge. Went into the pad. Bounced out towards backward point. And there is no run. Zabe getting through his over quickly. Bowls. Kimber drives expansively. But again, Bapara at 40 is an outstanding fielder there, really. Come down to his right and made the stop. Very clean. In goes Save. Back goes Kimber. Tries to thump it into the leg side off the back foot. Again, doesn't time it at all. Hits it down into the ground, into his foot almost, and it bounces out into the offside. So in the end, that was a pretty good over from Save. Just the 3 runs from it by my calculations. And just adds a little bit to the pressure on Rehan Ahmed and Louis Kimber. Ahmed has 12. So too does Kimber. As I say, they know what they need. They need to score at 8 and over the last 9 overs with 7 wickets in hand. I think the odds are still just about as they were. You would expect them to get it sort of 7 times out of 10, really, something like that. Maybe even 8 times out of 10.
Well, they've got the freedom, as you say, that if they can get an early boundary in the over, then they've safe to play it safe as Pope comes in. 3rd over for him as Ahmed looks to go big, and he does go big. That's a 6. Huge from Rehan Ahmed onto the offside, and that is, well, exactly what's the opposite of cursing the commentator. Always feels good when you say something and it immediately happens. But a boundary to start the over for the Foxes moves Ahmed on to 18, and the Foxes on 106. They need 66 to win, and Pope will come in once again. It's right arm over spinner to the right-handed Rehan Ahmed. Just teases this one directly to the fielder at cover, and that'll be a dot ball. Pope once again, light hair past the umpire as Rehan Ahmed comes out, comes up the track, has a lash at it. It is directly into the fielder Ravi Bapara once again, but he can't keep his hands on it. It feels harsh to say that's a drop, but I suppose technically it is, isn't it, Richard? As Pope comes in once again, Ahmed goes big, this time on the leg side, and once again gets the maximum. Rehan Ahmed, pretty much a mirror image of the 6 he hit just a couple of balls ago, and that is nice work from Ahmed for the Foxes.
Yeah, it's tough on Bapara because he really did hammer it at him, but he got 2 hands to it to his right, would have made a huge difference, and then Pope dragged it down and pulled high over, wide, long on.
5th ball of the over for Pope. Once again to Rehan Ahmed. Cuts this one onto the offside. Just a single taken from the Foxes as the man at deep cover saunters in to collect. And there'll be one more from Lloyd Pope in this 12th over for the Foxes. In he comes to Louis Kimber, who has a swing at it, and once again it is hit directly to Ravi Bapara, just to his side. He did have to move a little bit, but once again it's too quick for him, and he looks disappointed. Takes a while to get himself back on his feet. Little pat on the back from his teammate Tim Robinson, but arguably, I mean, both difficult chances, but arguably Bapara could have taken both Ahmed and Kimber in that over.
Yeah, we've mentioned the commentator's curse, and we were praising Bapara. I was certainly praising him. He took a couple of brilliant pieces of fielding in there in previous overs, but 2 chances that On another day he would have taken two-handed to his right, first off Ahmed, then off Kimber. What a difference that could have made.
Should we keep praising him? What a player! What a player!
What a fielder. Well, it's not save Zabe, it's George Scrimshaw who's back. He bangs it in short and he's pulled straight back past him through longer on for 4 by Louis Kimber. So there was 14 off the previous over from Lloyd Pope. It could have been, well, as I say, 2 wickets in it. I thought Safe Say bowled pretty good over, really, so I'm a little bit surprised he's been taken off, but they have gone back to Scrimshaw. Goes for 4 straight away, charges in, bowls 2. Kimber bowled him, that's why he put him back on. He raises his finger, Kimber went for the big hit, thumped into the top of off and middle, and well, having hit the previous delivery 4-4, didn't, strictly speaking, need to play that shot, Louis Kimber, but he did, and Scrimshaw has picked up his 3rd wicket, doing some serious damage. The tall right-handed seamer
It's the
to the
moustache.
Leicestershire innings. It's the tash that does it.
It's fascinating though, isn't it? Because actually, what was it? His 2nd over when he had a couple of wides and a no ball. You sort of thinking, is he having one of those days? And then all of a sudden, what? An over and a half later.
Yeah, both the wickets were a little bit fortunate. The full toss and the sort of short ball down the leg side. But that wasn't fortunate. It wasn't the greatest shot Kimber's ever played, obviously, sort of swinging across the line, but there was nothing wrong with the delivery at all. And he's suddenly got 3 for 28 now.
The Foxes on 118 for 4. Northamptonshire ended the 13th over on 118 for 4.
Scrimshaw into Ben Cox, bowls down the leg side and turns in disappointment because he thinks Cox moved across his stumps, but umpire Ashraf having none of it. David Willey's got asking questions now as well. They're going to have to be a little bit careful. The Steelbacks wide is signalled, 119 for 4.
We're into that period where in the Northamptonshire innings, Leicestershire were able to get some quick wickets. They'll be hoping to avoid doing the same thing, won't they?
Yeah, the rate required is under 7s as Scrimshaw bowls outside off stump, and no foot movement attempt to sort of windmill cut it away through the offside by Ben Cox. Misses. Well, this is going to get a little bit nervous for the Foxes. Got nervous at Trent Bridge a few days ago when they lost a match that they looked like they were going to win. Nottinghamshire got across the line in the final over. Scrimshaw is in, slower ball. There's a appeal for leg before, that looked a better shout. Cox came off the pad, runs out towards square leg. We didn't get any bat on it. Umpire Ashraf raises his left knee. Perhaps was going on down the leg side. The leg by is taken. Let's have a look. Yeah, a little bit high as well.
It'll make
Wasn't a bad shout though.
No, not bad shout at all. It'll make the group very interesting if Leicestershire can win here. It'll mean there'd be 3 teams all on 24 points, with Nottinghamshire on 20 as well.
Scrimshaw bowls. Ahmed is driving and edging over first stroke, second slip, down to the finest of third men boundaries for 4. Again, minimal foot movement from Rahan Ahmed. He just threw his bat at it, really. Opened his shoulders and he got lucky. Thickish outside edge in the air, over first stroke, second slip, or over where they would have been, to the boundary for 4. Ahmed on to 29. May hold the key for the Foxes. Scrimshaw tells his third man to go finer, even finer. Fine leg is pretty fine. And third man is almost long stop now, in fact. As Scrimshaw is in. Ahmed tries to repeat the shot, doesn't get anything on it. Scrimshaw can't quite believe he didn't edge that through to McManus. Scrimshaw comes to the end of his bowling. He's taken 3 for 33 from his 4 overs. He's not exactly broken the Leicestershire innings open, but without those 3 wickets, the Foxes will be going very comfortably. As it is, there's not much in it at all. After 13 overs, they're 124 for 4.
Yeah, Rehan Ahmed on to 29. He's moved over 200 runs in the Blast so far this season. He's also, those first 10 runs moved him to 500 for the Foxes in the T20 Blast.
Did I say 134 or 120? Hopefully I said 124 because that is the score.
I mean, if you got it wrong, I didn't clock it either, so...
Apologies if I did, folks.
10 off the over as Willie is back on from the pavilion end this time. In he comes to Cox, left arm over. Cox, does he get a little touch on that as it swings past the wicketkeeper McManus? There is a man to defend it on the boundary, so it will just be the single, and it is a run for Cox, so he did get a slight edge on that. And Ahmed facing once again, 125, so 47 required for the Foxes. Just short of 7 overs to do it, as Willie comes in once again, number 23 on his back, past the umpire as Ahmed drives that one onto the offside. It's collected comfortably by the fielder, and it will be a dot ball. Required run rate is at 7 at the minute. So the Foxes, a little bit of breathing space, wiggle room, whatever you want to call it. They can play a calmer game, but they will want to start chipping away at that target to make sure it's not a tense finish as Willie comes in once again. This one is pulled onto the leg side. It drops just in front of the fielder that was running in from sort of deep mid wicket, and Rehan Ahmed once again survives, and just the single taken.
Yeah, I thought it was in the air quite a long time, but Safe Safe had a lot of ground to make up and was 4 or 5 feet short when the ball pitched. If you use Duckworth Lewis, if you believe that's a useful comparison, Fox is well ahead of where they need to be.
I told my friend's kid the other day that that's how we should decide who's winning, so let's say it is a good thing to look at as Willie comes in, and it's looped over his head by Ben Cox, and that goes all the way for a 6. That is a lovely inventive shot by Cox, and he gets his first boundary of the evening, maximum for him.
Yeah, beautiful ramp by the Leicestershire wicketkeeper batsman. Got all of it, used all the pace, miles over McManus's head, and in fact over the side screen into the almost into the balcony of the Turner Centre. Just dropped short into the green seats behind the black side screen.
40 to win now for the Foxes. Yeah, my friend was here with his lad and he asked, "Who's winning, Dad?" And I said, "Well, if you do check the scoreboard, that's a good way of looking at it." And he thought I sounded clever, so let's stick to that, shall we? As Willie comes in, down the wicket comes Cox. He's not able to get the connection. He's after left hand of Willie, able to stop it going too far, and it'll be a dot ball. And as you say, Richard, if we are looking at the Duckworth Lewis, it's currently at 111 with the Foxes on 132. So that would suggest they are in the driving seat. 37 balls to go, 40 to win. The run rate required now just 6.5 as Willie comes around the wicket this time. It's a full toss that is clipped to the offside by Cox, and some decent running from the 2 Leicestershire batsmen to get themselves the double, and Cox will end the over on 9. Decent one for the Foxes. As Leicestershire La 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 comes onto the screen. Fans encouraged to get behind the team. They're usually very good at doing that even without the encouragement, aren't they? The Foxes fans inside Grace Road, particularly over in the Uptonsteel stand, as we mentioned, 134 for 4. So when you said that score at the end of the 14th over, Richard, you were just ahead of the game. You knew it was going to be happening by the end of the next over. 134 for 4.
Poor Ravi Bopara, having dropped those 2 catches, may have done himself a little bit of damage because he's holding his right hand a little tentatively. And Ricardo Vasconcelos, the 12th man, has come onto the field. In goes safe Zabe. Ahmed backs away and drives him out to deep extra cover. It'll be just the single. Ahmed on to 30. 37 now needed to win. Ahmed on to 31, I beg your pardon. At 6.3 and over with 6 wickets in hand. Cox, a beautiful little paddle sweep reverse. Just paddled it around the corner, reverse. There is a short third on the edge of the circle, Lloyd Pope, so it is just the single. Zabe bowls, short, dragged down, cut in the air by Ahmed, and he's got that one wide of that short third in the air, but wide of him and down towards the wide third man boundary in front of the meet. He picks up 4. Cox had completed the single, but Ahmed knew that was going to cross the ropes. He moves on to 35. Zabe in, bowls to him, he off drives him for 6 into the black side screen. Used his feet nicely, connected nicely, pretty safe shot. It's not the longest straight boundary here at the Uptonsteel County Ground, and this over is taking Leicestershire a long way towards their target, 12 from it already. Safe Zabe bowls, Ahmed just leans forward and works it out towards long on. Good sensible batting from Rehan Ahmed, works it out to long on, takes the 1, moves on to 42, 147 for 4. Past 200 runs in the competition this season for Rehan Ahmed. Came into it on 173, averaging 35. Cox goes for the slog sweep and connects very nicely. Runs it out towards deep backward square for 4, so a hugely expensive over as far as the Steelbacks are concerned, or were concerned, during which the Foxes bring up their 151 in fact, so 17 from the over in the end, and all of a sudden they've got their run rate up above 10s, the rate required down to 4s, 21 needed of 5 overs. With 6 wickets in hand, they should do this, Jack, at a canter.
We have a decision to make at some point soon, because I'll have to scurry off to go and get interviews pitch side. So I'm thinking possibly if they have another successful over, I might have to say goodbye to you at the end of this one. Hopefully that is the case, as David Willey is back on at the pavilion end. Rehan Ahmed, 42, facing him, left arm over. This one is, well, it's edged very square, isn't it? It's not gone the way he was intending, but it's safe and able to run through for the single, so it takes him up to 43. His top score so far in the Blast this season is 52. Could he make his way past that to win Leicestershire the game? Cox on 14.
He will be keen to be there at the end to see the Foxes over the line. He's done the majority of the job, but he knows he has the responsibility to be there at the end.
Willie in once again past the umpire. This one is flicked up in the air by Cox. Is going to be caught on the boundary. No! It is in fact dropped over the boundary. The fielder at long on did have a jump up, connected with the ball, but wasn't able to fully get his hands around it, and that goes for another 6 for the Foxes, and they are edging closer to victory here. 158 for 4 now, just 14 required.
Justin Broad was the field. He did, as you say, get his 2 hands just about to it, but he was falling backwards.
As Willie comes in, bouncer, and that's gone over McManus, the wicket-keeper, and it's gone all the way for a 4, and it's a wide. Wow, that is not good. I might have to disappear, Richard.
You might soon.
They need
Suddenly
9 to win.
9 to win.
All right,
and we've only had 2 legitimate deliveries.
I'll tell you what, let's see what happens on this next ball. but I may just disappear and allow you to finish the over, just in case. I'll stick around for one more, shall I? From Willie.
The end is coming quickly, I'm afraid, for the Steelbacks.
I might be out of breath when you hear the interviews at the end of the game. Willie in, left arm over to Cox, who looked to go for a bit of a ramp, but in the end it's just the single. I'll tell you what, Richard, just to tempt fate, I am going to scurry off pitch side. Richard will take you through, hopefully, to a Leicestershire victory.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, he Q-ended that one, Ben Cox, trying to scoop it down to fine leg. Right off the end of the bat, and it went out towards mid-wicket. 164 for 4, 8 to win for the Foxes. Willie turns. Athletic run, bowls, and that one is nicely lifted by Ahmed, over Pope, down to the fine leg boundary for 4. Willie can't believe that quite cleared Pope, but he was up on the circle. He didn't quite get it all, Rehan Ahmed, but he got enough. Clever shot, neatly played. And as I say, fortune favoured the bold on that occasion, the brave. Step forward. He moves on to 47, 4 to win. Can he get there with a 4 and bring up his 50 at the same time? Willie is in, bowls to him. He tries to drive it away through the offside without any real foot movement, and is a little bit fortunate not to get anything on it as it goes through to McManus behind the stumps. Willie knows his fate. The Steelbacks, judging by the body language, know theirs. In he goes and bowls. Ahmed bunts it out towards mid-off. Foolish delivery on the off stump. Runs it out towards Sanderson at mid-off and takes the single. And he can count, Rehan Ahmed, you can be sure of that, because it means he keeps the strike as well. He moves on to 48 off 29 deliveries. Leicestershire have 4 overs in which to score the 3 runs that they need to win the game with 6 wickets in hand. It looks like they're going to jump over the Steelbacks into 4th. Just looking at the net run rates, actually it will depend on run rates to a certain extent. Leicestershire did themselves so much damage with a really heavy defeat at Headingley early in the season that badly affected their run rate. But if they get across the line quickly here, this will do it a lot of good as well. A lot of overs left to spare. Ben Sanderson is into Rehan Ahmed, who lifts him straight over mid-off for a 3-4 bounce for. That is his 50, and that is the win for the Leicestershire Foxes. They have won this game in the end quite easily by 6 wickets with the best part of 4 overs left to be bowled. So it did look like, in fairness, a much better pitch than the Northamptonshire total suggested it might be. They did drag it back up to 171, but it did look sort of like a 190 or 200 pitch, and I think that's what it was. And that is what Ahmed and Cox showed it to be in the end. Again, a second 50 for Rehan Ahmed, and the Foxes' campaign is back on track, really. They have now played 11, won 6, lost 5. They move up onto 24 points, and the Steelbacks campaign, which began so sensationally, well, they're struggling now. They have, having won their first 6, now lost their last 5, Jack, down there on the boundary.
Our final game here against Yorkshire is a double header, both men and women taking on Yorkshire. That's on the 18th of July. Women get underway at 2:30, the men will then be...
Yeah, they have. I mean, it never really looked a really troubling score. Obviously, they did lose a couple of important wickets. You know, the loss of Masood, a little bit unlucky. Bodinger as well probably considered himself a little bit unfortunate. But Ahmed has been very good with the bat. He's made up for, you know, not being able to bowl spectacularly well really here. And in the circumstances, he played pretty responsible innings as well. He got away with a few sort of top edges and, you know, ones that didn't certainly go where he wanted to hit them, but a really good unbeaten 52 off just 30 deliveries. Owen in the end for Rahan, his second 50 of the campaign, and an experienced, intelligent innings from Ben Cox, clever innings as well from Ben Cox, 21 not out off just 10 deliveries, and in the end to win with 3.5 overs remaining by 6 wickets will do their net run rate the most awful lot of good. I can see Jack now has got one of the Leicestershire batters with him at the moment.